We did owe them some money
Okay,
there.
so we're in debt. Do we want to get out of debt and go to 203 and then issue more debt?
Why did
there?
they did 3 minutes?
They did 2.
They did 2.
But see, that's what I'm that type of guy. I credit the creditor. All right, that's the type of individual that I am.
Hold on. I want to announce something.
Announce
that on the Katina Man's social media, there's been a return
of a baseball bat.
No. Of the walk and talk, my boy.
The walk and talk. He's brought
Katina Man just dropped the walk and talk. So if you follow Sean on Instagram, head on over, listen to the walk and talk. It's one of my favorite things. You know, I already told you about that multiple times.
I want to hear what it says. Play it live.
I'm not at liberty to do that, Joseph. Okay. It's not my social media, obviously. Yeah, okay. So the Katina Man is going to have to do that if he'd like. But I personally love when he does these. I think he spits real stuff. And so if you're into that kind of thing, head on over, check it out. We just took out another little print there on my friend AYTU, as this one did break above 30. So I've layered the orders there. I've kept my stop in place. I'm going to weasel on over to the green screen in the hopes that all these ones print, because we are curling up on AYTU. It's a hard stair step up, but they're printing nonetheless. So we're going to keep an eye out on this one, Joseph. Send them off.
Yeah. Let's go the shorts here, guys. I'm hyper-focused right now, aiming for these key pivots. Let's break through some of these key levels and continue to move to the downside there in Coin.
Peace. Don't go too far to the downside, Coinbase. Come on, man. So
7%.
You were Coinbase, apparently an old investigation.
Okay.
Into whether they misstated their user base on their IPO. So much to my chagrin, because I never actually sold Coinbase shares, Coinbase dropped $13 on that move and then bounced and is now down 6.5. It's yeah, it's not good for Coinbase. The thing about it, like I was in it too, Joe, the short into VWAP. But the more I thought about it, old investigation about stuff with the IPO, I'm like, is this really another? Is it deserving of this leg down? So I'm not really sure, like completely sure that this should be. Like, let's bury it like we'll bury UNH. It doesn't feel like that kind of a story, just given the clarification that we got from Adara. So I'm sort of going to leave it at that. But yeah, it's a tale of a lot of different things in this market. Like the Nasdaq's up and strong. Tesla's red but big bounce. Nvidia's a beast, and it went green on the day. But then you've got like AMD, which is down 2%. You've got, all right, UNH actually bounced, but the UNH is down 14%. CoreWeave, which was in, we'll get to all of these. CoreWeave went absolutely squeezing, like right after we got off the morning show with you guys. CoreWeave went to like $72. It's now back into the volume weighted average price. The market looks like it's rolling over, so favoring the shorts. But wow, it's been a lot of crazy round trips here today. No questions asked. So if you're into action, you've definitely found it in the market that we've got going on here. Oh, Coinbase. Like, and they're going into the index tomorrow, the S&P 500 tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Never a dull moment, eh? Like the day before you go into the index.
It's a good thing. Thanks, Sharif. He's not here, but thanks for for mentioning that walk and talk, because I just came back. Like I went and grabbed a coffee. I needed to make some change, so I got an actually large steeped tea.
Steeped tea?
I like my guy. Diversification.
Yes.
And only to come back here and realize that this happened. So stopped out right there. Would be $1 in the money. And would be a good one. So yeah, patience, virtue, need it now. But here we go. Thankfully, like if I would have got stopped out, my Google stop out was 165.11. It went as high as 165.03. So it's like, I just want to show you, it's exactly, and I mean, thanks, Sharif, for bringing it up, and he's not here, but you go over, it's already getting a lot of likes and views and all that kind of stuff, but it's just right here, and I'm already talking about, here's Sharif. What's up, Sharif? Right there about being patient, right? Being patient and getting into your positions and trying to give a little bit more room to them. Tighter stops, but more room to the downside. So on Google, it is now it's working out absolutely perfectly. Sharif, I appreciate that shout out, my guy. I just showed it on the chat there, so thank you so much for that. This is what teamwork is all about. But yeah, like we had just you're gonna get back another day, like Shout out to James Bond, die another day. Well, I'm dying today on this Apple trade, but we're not dead, right?
Another great movie.
Another great Pierce Brosnan movie? No, it's not.
You had to say a Pierce Brosnan movie.
Get my guy going over there. I feel like this is not on, right? But anyways, what I'm trying to get at here is like, it's just whatever. It was a big position, and it's just like to come back here could have been the whole week, right? Like that. That's just how I trade. We all trade differently. We all talk about that. But that was a monster position, was enough to whatever, you know. But we got stopped out there, and it's fine. It's just look where it's going now. You know, like to have come back here and seen this downside would have been pretty sweet. But at the end of the day, you make your bed and you lay in it, right? And that was a stop out. And I just want to say, it's like, this is what real trading is about. It's about getting your positions, having your stop. And look, it filled me downside. So we did get some out, then it ripped, and then it tanked. So the market gods, you know, like, this is not about religion, but they will do whatever they want. And it's just a matter of trying to solve that game every single day, right? And then when you do is when you start to ramp up. I think that I've got what it takes to make, you know, this work. So we'll get stopped out there on Apple. We'll go right back into Google, and here it is, man. This is the trade right now. So now it's starting to go downside. That bad luck, like on Apple, will turn itself around, you know, and that stuff won't happen. But then look at what happened on BBAI. Oh, that's nice, Sean. That's great. Right there, the absolute bottom again, you know, and then it rips up. So at some points, it won't hit these levels, and it will continue to do this. This one is kind of my bad because we stopped it out at 350, and it's just, we could have gone, my initial stop was 344. I should have just kept that there, but I wasn't seeing it moving much. So I said to myself, if the most I'm getting is 5 cents, then the most I want to lose is 5 cents. So these are just real-time lessons that those of you that trade, as we all do here every day, know that this happens to all of us all the time, as Joe had just mentioned there.
Well,
so it just hurts when you're on, like I'm using now way more shares than I normally do. So that's why now it's more like, oh my gosh, like I just cost myself a mortgage payment here, you know, but that's trading.
It just comes down to, at the end of the day, and I actually had this conversation with Joe, not the other Joe, Jose, on our algo floor. And we call him Jose, but his real name is Joe. It's a long story. If you haven't heard it, we'll tell it some other time. And on FL today, like there is a trade on the first day. Oh, shoot, I was going to talk about top wicks too, so I have it on AMD just to exemplify the point. But no, I can go to Foot Locker because there's a trade that I've probably done, I want to say, every single time on the first day or second day of a buyout with regards to the risk-free rate, and aggressively shorting the living you-know-what in front of the risk-free rate. And today, I got smoked doing it. That said, if I don't do that, then what's been probably one of the most profitable strategies in 20 years on this floor, it's one of my bread and butter. So like I'm ridiculously active and aggressive in front of it. It didn't work on Locker, but I'll probably be back at it again tomorrow. But when it comes to wick outs, like the same thing happened on, I think it's AMD, at VWAP, and all of a sudden, like this one's looking relatively weak, but it's been like that for a while. I did reverse long off the volume weighted average price, but then went back to, hey, it broke the trend and the same resistance ended up holding. What are you doing? That's a short and it's relatively weak. The juxtaposition between some of these chip names, and we'll get to it, like this, NVIDIA it's like there's NVIDIA and there's everything else. And when you look at the chips, that much is becoming crystal clear because everyone that keeps saying AMD, they're going to catch up too, and it's a good valuation. It just seems to not matter on days like today, which is most days. Like the market's rolling over, AMD's probably going to get to the lows, NVIDIA might struggle to get to the volume-weighted average price at this point, which it hasn't even touched since 11 o'clock. Let's go to Sharif, because I'm sure we probably just covered some names you guys want to know about.
Hey guys, welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. You saw them, the big boys are here, they're locked, they're loaded, and they're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. But the only way to actually get those tickers up there is to join Joseph and I on the midday show and get into the chat and vote for your favorite tickers every day. But you got to be a subscriber in order to talk to us in the chat and engage at all and to vote as well. So make sure you're liking, subscribing, and sharing. Here's a look, guys, at all 4 major averages. All 4 of them in the green, and they're all very similar to each other in terms of percentage up on the day. You have the likes of the NQ up 0.2, likewise with the ES up 1/3%, as well as the Russell 2000 0.4, and up 0.4 as well is the Dow. So good look for all 4 major averages. All of them in the green. All right, here's a look at Coinbase, guys, and it's not a good look. Couple of headlines on this one today. Let's start with the first one. They got hit by a data breach, and the ransom was $20 million, which they refused to pay, instead looking to allocate that money as a bounty to catch the hackers. Also, this came out midday. Coinbase chief legal officer reporting that the SEC investigation is a holdover from a prior administration about a metric that they had stopped reporting about 2.5 years ago. Essentially, they're being investigated right now, and Adair brought that to us midday, helping push this one down, guys, below where it was trading.
Yeah, which was a really good recovery for Coinbase. You know, like it got to 240. Let's go from the outside in here. Coinbase, which has been on a fantastic run. We all know about it's going into the S&P 500 as of Monday morning, which means close tomorrow effectively. And it was breaking out on that news. You're back above the 200, all that major resistance mumbo jumbo. And essentially pulled back into the March high, which is about that 240, which was a good support level, and did what was, I mean, I guess technically still is, a very solid bounce. So coin was trend down, it was kind of bleeding with the rest of the market, and it was on an absolute tear until that news came. And to give you an idea of what I think this chart would look like, you don't know if this is true or not, but this is the chart of Coinbase, this is the chart of Robinhood, and they were doing exactly the same thing up until the point that news came out. Since then, obviously one's gone down, and Robinhood is heading to the upside and just trending higher. So unfortunately for Coinbase, we'll have to see how this settles down. If you were skittish about the stock before, you probably don't like it anymore now. And if you were considering selling on the addition into the S&P 500, well, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't be even more so with this investigation. It does seem like this is a bit of old news, so I don't want to go doom and gloom on it. VWAP and 248 for now are holding. I scalped it once. I think there's enough uncertainty. There might be better places to go that I might stay away from this. Robinhood looks pretty intriguing, however. It's hard to imagine that it's going to buck the trend forever, and Robinhood setting up for a decent reversion trade. Yeah, I'm going to stay away from coin. We took one shot at it, and it didn't really go as far as I would have liked to the downside anyways.
I wasn't here for that news. I had talked about Coinbase. It was one of the picks that I made back in January as a top pick for this year. We only had 3 picks each. I picked Palantir, Coinbase, and the Dow Jones. Thanks, UNH. But yeah, you can see right here, it's positive for the year. I'm looking at Google right now, and I was just talking about getting tipped out there on Apple. Thankfully, we didn't do that on Google, or I would have came back and not been nice. But there it goes to the downside here, still bleeding lower and lower and lower. I have about a third left of that initial position, and it's big. And this is, thanks, Jag, for your kind words, and everybody there in the chat. This is gonna, hopefully this will turn me green, but we just need a little bit more work to be done there, because that Apple getting stopped out there, that basically put me there. And now we're getting back into the downside, and we did have something similar on, actually, it's really just Apple. Well, this is fine, it's just position pending. I don't want to say, you know, we're doing well now, but Google's about to break the low of the day right now. So staying short today was the idea. Yes. Yes, let's go. This is what it is, man. My brother over there in emotion. You know, we have Mini-Me and Joe. Sharif shows emotion like I do as well. So we all have our things here. But shout out to that. I appreciate Neil's explanation there of the Foot Locker there. Yeah, so, you know, I think that's the best thing that we can do. I noticed on the midday show, they go over a lot of news and they talk about a lot of things like that. I think that that's something that, you know, with this Studio 8 renovation, it's going to be more about the conversation and more about what what we're doing here, strategies and building like that, and less about the individual trades. But this run right now, let's join the dollar club right here. So yeah, evicted us on that mortgage payment. What's up, Mike DeRider there on the chat on Apple. But the bank come calling right now, margin not hit as Google right back down into the downside. Probably this trade right here is probably the biggest trade P&L wise for me of the month. Oh, there it go. Okay. All right, about almost being green. All right, here we go. It's a huge move down for Google. Let's go talk about Alibaba.
There's nothing doing there.
Yes, sir. So Alibaba, another very negative name, Sean, down over 8% at one point in the day, down now about, knocking on the door of 8%. So they beat on EPS and sales, but the guide was a little light, guys. They missed on sales, printing about 32.58 billion. The street was looking for a 33.08. A bit of a mixed report. Good for their cloud. Not bad for their online shopping, but they are facing competition from the likes of PDD, JD, and some others.
Yeah, okay, so I think I feel so much better about not being a buyer of Alibaba again when it retook the 50-period moving average. I feel a little bit better about the fact that we sold the second third of it. I sold the second third of it. I say we a lot sometimes. It's just a force of habit. But yeah, not a good look for Alibaba today. Look, I came in looking short. It didn't, when I say it didn't matter, the levels that I was looking for was out and about above 129, like into the half, into 130. Which there was a chance it was going to get there. Like when we were doing the morning show, Alibaba was cruising into those levels for a short, and then it absolutely fell all over itself. So there was no trade. Someone asked if I'm looking for a long this afternoon in Alibaba, not unless it goes 10% down. So I'm sticking with that. I think you got to wait this one out. It would not surprise me if we had to deal with Alibaba pulling back close to $100. That I think is very possible.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be touching this one. If it goes 10% down today, we take a shot at it, but that's pretty much it.
Oh, go Google. Wow, it is still dropping like it's hot right now. The Nasdaq is still green. Google, what have you done? I wish this tea took them like 10 more minutes to make, man, because like I would have come in and not gotten out of this, but I was getting out when we saw this, but there is the break downside right now. Oh boy, this is absolutely collapsing. We're now $1.50 in the money. So we were like, woe is me on this Apple trade, which sucks. You know, like, anyways, the amount of shares, like we would have been right there, boom. But it doesn't matter. That was a huge move to the downside there on Apple, but we do not get stopped out there on Google. All right, look, man, FXI, we can always look. I might have to get some more out of Google. Like I'm just really not that focused on the rundown because I've doing some stuff over here. But FXI, again, down 1.53%. You know, a name that we haven't looked at in a minute, NIO. Could be something. I mean, I saw that was near, well, now it's through the $4, but I thought maybe coming back into $4 today, down 3.5%. You know, NIO does have this shelf in and around here. And some of these stocks, I was like, a lot of this garbage that was tariff day, tariff months, tariff 2 weeks problem, I was thinking about if we could hold something around those levels. So this would be 370. So if that can come in right now, get lower, Google, then that would be real cool. So 370 or change downside there for NIO, a good little dip buy opportunity. Let's see if that gets in there tomorrow possibly. But giddy up, man. I'm pretty happy with what just happened here in the market. Again, it's a tale of two stories, right? Because we wind up down on Apple, but we'll be up more on Google. Just wish we had both. That's all. And again, this kind of a stop out on Apple, just for those of you, like, you know, we're short right here at 212, basically 212 10s, 9s, 8s. For some reason, I was just like, I took too many outs. I got stopped out there. I got stopped out there. So I just kept trying, made money. And then, you know, I just put that stop at 20. It was like right here, right where we wicked that high that came back in at 12 o'clock. Unfortunately, it takes it, and then it does this. Like I said, it's a monster trade. It would probably be the biggest one of the year, maybe P&L-wise. But, you know, unfortunately, we get stopped out. But we don't do that. The gods are, you know, smiling on us with this Google trade because I was 5 cents away from getting stopped out right there as well. So I got to do a little bit better job trying to pick my stops. But here we go, man. Yeah, we're going to be green on the day as soon as we get out of this trade, which is quite the feat for me because we had dug ourselves a hole there, and now we're way out of it. So
TSB, baby.
That was a good one, yeah. And you know,
that's a floor term. It's called gain from the bottom.
Oh, gain from bottom, yeah.
Which is easily, ask any trader, gain from bottom is the most it's the most satisfying thing.
Yeah. The only thing I was going to say too about that is also tomorrow's also another day.
It's Friday.
That was the other thing I was going to say, but it's Friday. But every day there are these opportunities in the market. That's the thing. You know, that's why I think this show, what we're doing here, is pretty special because every day we're showing you, like, whether or not we just talked about Foot Locker, that's a brand new thing today. You know, CoreWeave, brand new, that Coinbase story. Like, every day you're sitting here and there's opportunities to make decisions. And it's unlike any other job. A lot of people go to their job, they're pushing brooms around, they're stocking shelves, whatever you're doing. I have people that just taking phone calls. We all have these jobs, right? It's like, I look forward to it. Sharif nailed it on the head already. Like, we can't get Joe to leave. This guy loves this place.
Well, I'll tell you.
And the thing, you know, and the thing is that it's true. Like, Sharif's like, the thing about it is every day goes by so quick.
I'll tell you a story before I came to real trading. Because I was like, whatever, just taking like odd jobs here and there. And I remember I was doing a job which paid really, really well. And it was, you know, the signs that are on, like the big, massive billboard signs that go up, like ones at the Windsor Bridge, and they flip and they got the panels on them. So the guy owned a business and he was, I think it was like Grant, whatever signs. And he paid really well. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll make some money for the week. And I remember having a discussion with him. You know, I just graduated from Waterloo University, and he's like, yeah, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know if I want to work at a bank. And they say, I just hate the nonsense. It's what everyone else does in my program and all that stuff. I have a trail on an AMD at this low. But, and then he said to me, he's like, you know what? You know, it's great, I own my own business and this and that, and that's fantastic, controlling your own destiny, eating what you kill. But like the labor part of this, you like this? He's like, yeah, it's good money, but I don't think I wouldn't want to do this. Like, that's why you A, go to school, but B, more importantly, find something you love. Because I'll tell you right now, like, I've seen you mope around here, like, you know, you don't like the heights, blah, 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 this and that. Find something that you actually enjoy going to every single day, and even more power if you have some control. He's like, he had his own business. I was like, you know what? That really spoke to me. And I think that's when I was more open-minded about, you know, doing something like trading, which I hadn't really thought about, to be honest, until you did it. And you know, it does make a difference if you enjoy waking up in the morning to do what you do. It helps if you have a loving family as well, because that makes it so much nicer. And it also helps if you don't get run over by CoreWeave.
My kids go, Daddy, did you make money on stocks today? I'm like, I traded some stocks, you know. But all right, poor Sharif is over there waiting. So, all right, CoreWeave, Netflix, Bitcoin. We could do all three at once, but let's start with CoreWeave. We'll promise to be quick, as my guy probably has. Okay. All right, Sharif, let's go. CoreWeave.
All right, guys. CoreWeave kind of flat on the day, up now 0.7%. Zigging and zagging there. Look, it was a decent report. They grew substantially year over year. Fantastic looking, whatever metric you're looking at. But what really stands out to me here is the amount of money they're making, revenue per year versus how much you're spending in CapEx. We went through that ad nauseum on the midday show. About $5 billion, give or take, in revenue on the year, with CapEx slated to be, boys, 20 to 23 billion.
Okay, so quickly, we've talked about how much they make $1 billion in revenue, and I think they're guiding for, what do you say, 1.1, 1.2, something like that. So to spend 20 to 23 billion on CapEx, it's crazy, but they need that kind of growth. And they're growing 400% or some nonsense quarter over quarter. So like, clearly that's what the market is in love with. Look, I had one trade. I was favoring the short if it lost support underneath. Like, well, it's hard. It wasn't a fine line. It was around 65. That was level on the daily. So when it lost support, I looked short. It shorted into VWAP. It was one trade. It broke, you know what, to the upside. And someone was asking, Neil, are you going to short it again? I'm like, I don't know. Would you short it at the same level after you saw this? My answer was a distinct no. It should have been a long, and maybe the bias got the best of me here. The same bias why I wouldn't want to own this stock is possibly the same reason why I didn't want to go long it after the report. But CoreWeave, it's a beast. NVIDIA owns, I forget the exact percentage, so I'm not going to make up a number. NVIDIA owns a pretty solid chunk, and when you have big institutional ownership like this where you know they're not going to sell, that makes it squeezable because there's less of it. It wasn't that many shares issued, and when they're all tied up and people aren't going to sell them, you get these squeezes to the upside. So should have respected that more and been willing to flip directions on CoreWeave. I don't know if I'll trade it this afternoon, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, CRWV. All right, I only have whatever now, 15% left of this Google. I think we could just let it go. We've made it back. We're as happy as you know what, but now we need to actually make some money. So let's see if we can do that here this afternoon. All right, CoreWeave. Yeah, look, flat, right? Pretty disappointing. Yesterday I think the implied move was 13 or 14%, maybe a little bit more than that. And again, it's their first earnings report, so I have no idea how they would have an implied move other than it's calculated through options. So, and I guess everybody was wrong unless you executed out there or out here and actually had a decent move today. But with the lack of liquidity really in the name, the spread right here is 30 cents. Now it's 20 cents, but it is a little tricky to trade. But you know what always remains true, and that is these support and resistance levels. Like that went up there to 72 bucks, and it's easy to see, back when we look at that here again. We got to 72 yesterday, 73. That was the high there today. So if you're looking there, you should be okay. Remember, I got stopped out by 2 cents on Apple. So you probably would have got stopped out here as well because, again, the spread, right? But then look at what happened here. Look at the after, so that's fine. This is this morning, 7:30. That bottom right here was pretty much the bottom off the open as well. So like you had support down there and resistance up here, and even where all of this was bundling, forget about that very top, it's this spot right here. And again, remember I got stopped out of Apple at the same time this was happening. So it's like go short, go short, go short, and then feel like crap when you come back and see this because you got stopped out. But again, just like we were saying before, if you're looking for these levels, be patient, wait for them, start your short up at this level. That therefore, if you are wrong, it's a 40 or 50 cent hit like we had showed there, like I just been talking about for the last half hour, or you have a monster winner all the way down to the downside. So, this is not just preaching here. This is actually, I can show you examples of exactly this. I'm currently in them right now. So CoreWeave, great trade, just takes a little bit of monitoring, right? You got to monitor it. Look at Mark there in the background. Watch out, Mark. Right there, there he is. So Studio 8. Being built up right now. Hopefully there is never a Studio 9.
Oh, there will be. It's always...
There will be within 6 months, is my call.
There's always something new.
I just realized I'm too shiny.
There's always something new around here. We'll get to Netflix very quickly. Another all-time high. Another one.
Ridiculous move here for Netflix. Another day, guys, another all-time high. This is a daily chart on Netflix, not an intraday. I just wanted to show you that breakout there. So almost at $1,200 as it gains about 2.5% on the day, Randy. And here's why. So they've got a couple of tiers now. There's a paid tier and there's an ad tier. Obviously, the ad tier, the more you watch, the more they make because the more commercials that they're playing. And now we've got 94 million users, guys, on the higher margin tier.
All-time high today on Netflix. Now, this is a good one because I didn't get around to selling my Netflix shares, but I would never sell all of them. I should just get that out of the way. I would never sell all of them. The idea was to take a piece off. I was going to decide that on the train, what I wanted to do with it, and it's fine. A little bit of a rejection off the top, but I think that has more to do with what the market did here for Netflix. So what you have is a breakout, new all-time high, and even on dips, 1170-ish, call it 1165, 1170, and it holds the prior high on Netflix. So I think it's, I'm only trimming some because at the end of the day, it's been a really, really good rally in Netflix, and I feel like if there's any, like the rotation back into some of the chip names, and I want to have at least a little bit of cash out there, and I look at what has gained the most for me, and I've already sold a couple times in Eli Lilly, and I have not sold a single share of Netflix, so I'm going to take some off the top there, about 10%, and see where else we can put it. In this particular case, I haven't decided where, so I can't speculate. I did trail out of AMD, so I had that stop out, which stunk, and that stop out, which stunk, and a good long. But we're out of it. Maybe we'll wait for the 116 level again. Keeps bouncing off 114.5. So VWAP has not been the thing. It's been 116 to 116.5. Maybe that changes. We get back in a little bit later on. But only one position left, and we can talk about it next because it'll be Bitcoin. I'm in Mara.
All right, look, I mean, for Netflix, talk about it all. I've already said, like, that move up in Disney has been pretty epic. The streaming wars, I'm still looking at CoreWeave. I don't know. I'm not doing anything, really. The streaming wars are far far from over, but there's already a champion. It's just there's room for everybody else to make money as well. It really just takes like one hit to sort of get that sort of buzz going again. Disney is buzzing, man. I mean, I like the short now in Disney. We made this short call in Starbucks at 115. I'm basically going to make another one right now with Disney. I think we are well extended right here, right now. So, you know, again, do I like the stock? No, not really. Am I an investor in it? Yes. Am I going to get out of it? Probably. But then I got to deploy the cash somewhere. So we'll wait to see what our next decision is. But look, man, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me. I'm probably long Netflix like $100, you know? Like, it's just, Netflix, I've been buying this stock from time. This is not a new position for me. I've never sold any of it. I don't have any ideas to do that. So it's like when you're old like me, you're gonna have a lot of prices that are way lower than current market. I mean, you saw that UNH graphic that Adara did? Some dude there from what was it, I think it was 13 years in the middle there, or maybe 23 years, something like that. The stock went up 5,000%. Well, that's basically, you know, if you're a buy and hold trader and a forever long, then, I mean, this is what's going to happen. It's not like this strategy just started right now. This has been here forever. So I'm going to continue to do that with Netflix. I'm not selling it. I have no reason to do that. We're free Netflix for the rest of our life. So we're happy with that one. Let's go Netflix. Keep going to the upside. I have no plans of selling that. So, you know, this thing can go down to $800. It wouldn't matter to me.
Bitcoin, guys, last on the list over here as it remains above 100,000, just right around 103,500. That's the chart of IBIT trading around 58.86. There's really no catalyst today, guys, on Bitcoin. It just remains above that $500,000 level. But as Joseph and I were observing during the midday show, those higher lows seem to be operative at the moment anyway.
There it is. The TVs are coming down. You can't knock out a wall if there's a TV hanging on it. Well, you can, but then your TV's not going to be worth much of anything. I actually have no idea what they're doing with those, because is it going to be part of the new build? I don't think so, because we have some other things that might be going up on the wall that I don't want to spoil. You guys can probably use your imagination here. So as far as Bitcoin goes, obviously strong recovery in IBIT. We didn't quite get to 100K, but you know, if I'm real, I think I probably should have been looking for that reversion long, and I wasn't. I thought we'd get a little bit lower into the next level on BTC today, just given what was happening in the morning, and it didn't happen. I am in Mara now. That was more of a trend break in Mara. Here, I'll show it here. So Mara from the bottom did this. I entered pretty much exactly when it broke the trend, and I'm holding it into VWAP here. A break of VWAP, and we'll see if it can get lower. So that was just a all lunchtime long trend break that we happen to be in here for Mara. But Bitcoin, I still remain bullish. I think we're headed for a test of the all-time high. It's just a matter of when. I kind of thought it would be this weekend. It's seemingly less likely than that. So let's just say we'll do it by Sharif's birthday.
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's just a matter of, for IBIT or for BTC or for anything, you know, the real runner of the last little while has been Ethereum. So, you know, we talked about some of these coins and where they've been going lately. Here's coin market cap. We've seen the highest market cap was 351 on the space, so 344 right now. So, you know, we're dipping down a little bit as far as the whole space is concerned right now. And we're giving some back, right? We talked about that epic run in Ethereum. This is almost exactly where I got out of all of the ETH that I had. Bitcoin, I think it's obvious that we're going higher now. But the thing is that if you're a bear on crypto, just go short right now. You're $5,000 away from getting punched out. Like once it breaks 110, you just get out. That's the high, you get out. There's a lot of room to the downside on all of these names, right? Like Solana can easily see 120 again. It was just there. So you're up to 170. It's pulled back from 190 over the last couple of days, right? We saw XRP at 260, now down to 248. So there's a lot of room to go back down in. Same with Cardano, it was just 84 cents, now down to 78. So, you know, I feel like there has been a bull run. You know, it's easy to say when the bull run's happened. You know, try to make a call moving forward. That's really what the right thing is. Analyzing charts that have already happened is nice and fun, but where's the play going to actually be, right? That's where the money is. It's not about saying, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. It's about actually doing it, working on timing, and then working on share size. And with no better of a person than I can think of, we have a very important guest that makes calls all the time on this show. And there it is. I'm officially your hype man, Mr. Raider Trader. And there it is. He is back in the building. I do like your hat. I see that it's a Raider Report hat.
Raider Report.
I got a green hat myself. This is the Palantir hat right there.
Now you got to go backwards on it. First of all,
This is Kid Ohio, and then
Kid Ohio, yeah. And that's president of Ohio, or
mayor.
mayor or governor. What? I don't know how does it work. You know,
But you can't be the mayor of a state, can you? Like, yeah.
No.
That's what makes it so funny, right?
That is what makes it kind of funny.
Right.
Is Ohio a state?
You tell me, my guy. I mean, is Canada north or south of the United States, Raider Trader?
It's east. It's in
Right,
the
correct.
Atlantic.
Correct. That sounds about right. All right. So, hey, look, I was looking over some of your. Oh, by the way, Mr. Raider Trader, I was looking over your account. And actually, hold on a second. I was just there. Adara said it to me. I got to get right back to it. I noticed, I'm going to get it in 1 second here. I noticed that your profile picture there, and here it is. I'm going to call it up right now. Because you had told us about your new vehicle, but you never really sent us a picture here. And I'm seeing it right here. Is this what we're talking about? No, you're too young here. How young are you here, by the way?
You can't drive in that.
There it is.
14 years old. No, I'm kidding. So yes, that is my car. There will be a picture shown at the end of this.
Okay.
Zoom that in.
Okay.
But there is matters to get to. We can't forget that. There he
is. All right. I like the shoes. I like everything. Yeah, but this is our show. We'll get to them when we're ready. But yeah, what's up? We do have right here 4,500 followers. So go give this man a follow. It's Andrew Raider. See, that's all I want to do. I just wanted to plug a little bit there for you. So what is this pressing issue? I know you have a date with Miami coming up soon. What's going on with all of that?
So there is some secret sauce going on. Many of you guys do know I am doing a secret project this summer, which will leak its way into some of the conversations throughout the next few months. But I'm excited for it. And it's related to doing a lot of trading. So that's what we're going to be doing this summer. And you guys will be able to see that on my socials once I get down there.
A lot of trading. Is it potentially a trading competition, or? We need a little bit more here. We need a little bit more. Give us like a little bit more.
Okay, you guys know I've been a little bit more professional for my age. That's always what I try to strive to do. I have had a dream always of becoming a professional trader. And let's just say this summer, that dream is starting to become a reality. So
nice, buddy. Okay, let's go bang.
We are,
you have the congratulations?
We're hinting at here.
There we go.
All right. Well, yeah, that's always great, man. Neil and I just had this, I don't know if you were listening, but we had this talk about passion and doing something that you're passionate about. You know, I started here and then pulled Neil away from the doldrums of hanging signs, apparently. And now we're trading, doing things that, we really like that. So, but anyways, okay. Congratulations, first of all, down there in Miami. Very nice place to spend your time. I'm sure you'll enjoy that a little bit more than the tough streets of Ohio there. But all right, again, going through some of your socials there, not sure where you are right here, but I feel a little bearish action on some of the calls you posted about the SPY maybe being at a top and things like that. What are we thinking right now? Today on my sticky note, I thought we were getting a little top heavy. The market is pretty flat though right now. Any opinions on what we're talking about here for maybe the next couple weeks? Any seasonality, any trends that you're looking for here in the market?
Yeah, so just a real quick recap. What's been happening over the last few months is actually quite remarkable and something you guys should study. Definitely write down, definitely store this in your kind of database of ideas for the future, because you won't see this very often. What actually happened from the drop of SPY since February is we saw a huge deleveraging action in the markets. Firms, we saw those headlines way back when, Citadel and all those other guys, right? They were having to deleverage their positions because of how quickly they were losing on this drop. Not only was it one of the fastest drops ever, but what was unique about it is the implied volatilities, if you actually go look from February to March, didn't actually go up that much. So a lot of these funds who rely on, hey, I'm going to buy these puts because if the market goes down, I'll get paid this amount. Well, when the market went down, their puts didn't go up that amount, and therefore they had to, instead of saying, hey, I don't want to buy more puts because they're not paying, we have to sell the portfolio altogether. So it created this weird action where the markets actually dumped into Liberation Day without the implied volatilities really really going up. And so now the implied volatility spiked, as we know, through Liberation Day. We actually had this period following April 9th where funds were reluctant to actually size back into the market. And now as this market is starting to rally, all of a sudden they were like, oh my gosh, we're behind. And so that's why you saw this rapid and very explosive buying after that period, after April 9th. And so we've been at this unique spot where, believe it or not, if you actually share my screen right now, a massive amount of calls are about to expire in the money. And we know that options expiration dates, the monthly being this Friday, are often massive pivot levels. And so with so many calls expiring in the money, you're going to leave a market maker who's going to be sitting there with a lot of shares in his inventory, and he's going to have to dump them to get back to neutral. And so there's this huge risk right now. And one of the symptoms have shown throughout Google, you guys traded Google today to the short side, but a symptom of what could happen was shown through Google. Right now, you have 0 puts in the money. You have just all calls. And so after this expiration, what's going to happen is you're going to have a market very vulnerable to headlines. And what that means is, if you actually look at this was the headline shown from Bloomberg, that this headline, as you guys know, Google dumped like 10% that one day. But on that one day, the headline was Apple considering or exploring. It wasn't, oh, we're going to do this. It wasn't, oh, we're likely to do this. It was just, we're going to explore it. And we know that that is always just a rumor. That's not something that's actually holds a lot of action. And yet all of a sudden, Google drops 10% from that. What was that? It was a symptom that we're in a market where there's no puts, and then when bad news hits, you have a market that rushes into puts, spiking implied volatilities, making market makers short, and exacerbating headlines like this. So I warn everyone who's going forward, if you are buying for the long term and expecting a new all-time high, that it's very possible that we see a very ugly and quick sell-off to approach into next week.
Andrew, I'm really, really glad you brought that up, because you mentioned Google. We might have seen something similar to that with Coinbase. An old investigation gets cropped up again, and it drops $13. We probably saw it in First Solar when there was a headline on taxes, which most people said was positive for First Solar relative to its peers. The stock dropped, it got destroyed, and then it ripped everybody's faces off once people realized what the headline might have meant. So I think it's a fantastic point. I'm glad you brought to everyone's attention, because some of those dips could be opportunities when you see that. I wanted to ask you just, you seem always like plugged in on, you know, where rates are going. You're going to be always looking at the higher look and how rates are going to impact the market, especially bond yields. TLT, we're at a triple bottom right now, a volume triple bottom. I know you've been prone to swinging this one, or liking to swing sometimes in the treasuries. What do you feel here? Because we've tested this floor a couple of times and it's been pretty good. So when I saw it and you were coming on, I'm like, yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this level, because to most people, if you've been buying this particular dip, it seems like you would just be going right back to it. Have things changed, or is this worth going back into?
I don't think right now it's worth going back into, and there's a few different reasons why. Number one, in case you guys haven't, unless you've been living under the rock with Patrick for the last 3 years, the markets have not wanted bonds. The 60-40 idea that portfolios need to be 60% stocks, 40% bonds has been kind of extinct. Of course, since COVID, bonds have been selling off completely since then. And so we have to ask ourselves, what is the pivotal change that needs to happen to bonds to where you will likely see this dynamic change? There is a behavior, there's a characteristic of this. When is that going to change? When is this symptom going to be removed? Well, not too many Fed meetings ago, we had them confirm that, hey, we're going to stop selling. And so that's going to alleviate a lot of the selling pressure. You've seen a compression of the range, but we need another excuse. And right now, gold is taking a lot of the market's share in that sense, that people looked at, how do we diversify portfolios? And they looked at gold and bonds and said, I would rather own gold, who's at all-time highs, than bonds, who have been selling off the last 4 years. So until this gold tops and until we really start to see that drop, I doubt we will see any interest in TLT. So while I'm not the best macro person to talk to about this, I can tell you that this is something that I have been monitoring, but I have not seen the excuse or the see it moment to where this behavior will likely change.
Yeah, I think, look, great analysis, obviously, and appreciate it for sure. And as a matter of fact, we just saw gold make a turn today, right? So from a technical standpoint, everything held up. And when looking at those two charts, I know we use most people say like you want to be buying the thing that is strong, holding trend and buying the high, as opposed to maybe picking that low. But there's a name, speaking of lows, I think there's a name Sean wants to ask you about to get your thoughts on, because one particular stock, unless you've been living under a rock like Patrick, which I had to, I didn't remember that right away. I should have. My wife is a big fan of SpongeBob, but I didn't get it either at first.
No, I mean, I didn't even realize my mic was hot. I was like, who the hell's Patrick? Over there.
We
But there
keep
it
it
is. Yeah,
real. We
exactly.
keep it real around here. Everybody.
I don't know. I'm learning more about Pokemon and stuff like that. Okay, so I did want to ask you just real quickly, Andrew, because it's a hot topic in our chat, especially because I know you play options as well. But there's a few names here that have been dancing around lately, and one is UNH. So I don't know if you had any opinions on this or what you were thinking, but I'm actually going to call up here. Here's a gold chart, by the way, bouncing beautifully off the 50-period moving average. But here's UNH. I'm going to go back over to like a weekly chart. We're back at some levels right now. And I know we had a new CEO coming through there as well, and the big changes that are happening, sweeping changes for healthcare in the United States, as we all talk about the differences there. And then some of the now lawsuits and whatnot. You know, stocks, Andrew, don't fall like this for no reason. So it's almost not even worth talking about why it's all the way down. The question is that when do we finally buy this dip, or do we? You know, I just wondering, in your experience and what you've looked at, is there any sort of thing that we're looking for here, either any indicators or anything on a daily, weekly, monthly chart or something like that, that may say maybe the bottom's in? I mean, I think we might be getting one today. We have that huge bottom wick down there at 250, all the way back up to 275. Maybe we can use that as a bottom. Any thoughts here? Because we've been chasing this stock all the way, and people now looking to think about going long. So what's your opinion on an XLV or a UNH in this space, where healthcare right now might be a good spot that we can get some, you know, alpha or whatever back into this market?
Yeah, I actually think UNH and Hum, a lot of you guys have to remember that a core principle of the market is actually momentum. And when trends stop, if you actually look at gold and MSTR, when trends capitulate is when you see the most positioning and the highest option implied volatility across the board. Gold on that kind of later April period, it topped because of the highest, if you actually go look, the highest open interest positioning in history was the top of gold. And so same thing with MSTR in that sense. So this chart right here, what this shows is just, it's through bar chart. And what it shows is kind of the positioning of UNH. And then you could also go look at something like, for example, Hum, HUM is the alternative. But I'm actually thinking next week, Hum is going to be a great sympathy trade to UNH. UNH's options are far too expensive. And I think Hum with less news will be the safer play to play the sympathy. So next week, I would say next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I would be looking for a rebound trade in Hum. Specifically, I do not want to trade UNH.
Right, yeah, I mean, that was great. I mean, we haven't even talked about Humana here at all. So that's
holding lows, Humana is
great look there. Yeah, sometimes it's just like whatever the sector is. That's why I brought up XLV as well. Anything going on? We talked about some robotics with you before. Any sort of movement over there? I haven't looked at that space yet either. So anything you're thinking about right now as far as ETFs or what that next little look might be? We've talked a little bit about the bonds now and about some of this healthcare. Anything else grabbing your attention? What a great move back in the Nasdaq.
Yeah, so actually one position I am long right now is actually LOY. I entered this morning, LOY and also IBB. I actually think that as you see this market start to slow down into OPEX, and if we do start to see a little bit of selling pressure into next week, I think the names that are kind of more beaten down but still have big imbalances. If you actually look at LOY, I don't have the chart up, but if you actually look at LOY, there was this big put order I was tracking for the 745 strike. And this big put created an imbalance into the low, and you saw the markets gap down. LOY hit that 720 huge put wall, bounced first part of the week, dipped back down, and now it's starting to bounce again. So LOY and then IBB, of course, those two positions are ones that I'm currently long in. And I think that playing the kind of lagger catch-up trade is going to be nice as the markets pin into expiration. But again, I think next week, shorting positions, I saw your chat actually mention a few of them. Uber, I think I really like Uber to the downside. What's really important, I do want to do a warning to you guys, is that in this market condition, if you are looking to short, don't try to catch the top. Just try to catch the right side of the V. The most profitable trade from myself, long, even short, has been the right side of the V. You wait for a weak open or a strong close. That's it. You're not trying to catch necessarily I want to short this and swing hoping for a gap down. No, it's wait for that weak gap down and then short the open, because what's going to happen in this environment, guys, is if the markets have a weak open, you will see implied volatility spike, and that's going to give you the easiest shorting trade you can imagine, because market makers and big funds are going to start selling off the open. And that's really the thesis of what you want to do. So wait for that weak open. Don't necessarily get baited into a weak close. And that's really important, because you need to wait for those gap downs in the market to really confirm that. So what I define as a weak open in this market is at least 0.6% gap down or more. That's going to be a very layup trade, in my opinion, and the one you guys should be watching for into next week.
Okay, yeah, that's it's funny because I had just rotated out of some Google 2 days ago and into Eli Lilly, so that was a good one. And then today, I actually wrote down Uber short, and we had that trade on earlier today. So yeah, I think we're aligned on some of those ideas. All right, anything else on your mind, Neil?
No, you covered it all, but you always seem to have a surprise for us. And I know you have some things coming, which you've already done. So if that was the surprise, fair enough. I do want to appreciate you supporting our Toronto Maple Leafs. You notice how we're all color coding in the blue, and I know obviously as a non-Canadian, you're not from
You're wondering
Toronto.
what sport we're talking about.
You doing that, I think, is fantastic. So I want to appreciate you doing that. And what else do you have for us, if anything?
Yeah, so I love blue, and I love the Columbus Blue Jackets. But as far as specifically with...
No, that's good, man. Yeah.
What I would recommend, guys, into next week, I do have a trade idea. It's one that's developing. It's one that might not go as planned, but I do have some confidence in. And it's going to be next week. I believe the best risk reward is going to be shorting the market. Now, this is going to be a very tricky trade for a lot of you guys. There's going to be timing involved and things like that. But May, historically, is a crappy month to expect big returns. I know we've had a crazy start to May, but May, in general, is not a month where you expect a spectacular finish to the month. That's where you expect late June to July, that big rally. So what I would anticipate into this next kind of moving period right here is don't bet on an all-time high this month. I wouldn't. I would say that would come June and July. So that's just based off of seasonal trends. And so what I would do here is into this next week, wait for that 0.6% gap down or more, or around there. And then what you want to do is jump into the names that were the furthest extended. If you look at Uber and, Netflix, those two are extremely strong into that high. And so I believe that those will be the ones that get actually pulled first. So what happens, and if you guys don't know, the trend leaders get sold off the most off the top. And then after that downtrend establishes, it's actually the laggers that get sold off the most. So I initially think Uber will get the pull first. And then after that, looking into those other names. But that's my trade for there. Of course, I'm actually going to be more active on Twitter now. I've been busy with all this secret top mission stuff. But this right here, since you guys are showing it, is the beautiful car. Okay, so some people said it's the Widowmaker last night, or the last time. Listen, black tinted windows around, tons of local Ohio princesses that flood my car everywhere I go. So I have to have tinted windows. Secondly, it is a 5.0 2019, supercharged. It makes 720 to the wheel, long tube headers. I have a nice exhaust on there as well. So nice 5-spoke wheels too. Let's say it's my baby. Listen, it's not a Lamborghini, but if you pull up in a 2012 Gallardo, I'm smoking you. So doesn't matter the badge. Just don't pull up in an SVJ or anything like that, or I'm going home. But yeah, anyway.
Very impressive ride there, and we again, congratulations on it. That's part of what it is, right? You get that dream car, like you make the money, and you got to reward yourself. So, congratulations, that's pretty sick, man. We do like that, and Andrew visited us here, so we know this guy personally, and I want to say a big congratulations to you for that, and just make sure you always wear your seatbelt. That's the other thing.
And I don't speed at all. I only go up to the speed at the fastest point I can, right? So if it's 75, I might slow down to 0 on the highway
Right.
and get really quick up to 75, but I don't speed, guys. So.
Real quick. Yeah. So
I appreciate you. I appreciate you saying that for everybody out there. We're all about.
well, especially with all those ladies in Ohio, I just want to make sure he has as many in the car as there are seatbelts. I mean, that's the whole thing.
Unfortunately, it's only a 2-seater. I deleted the back seats to save weight because I'm a skinny guy, and that just makes it faster. But listen, guys,
Right.
you know,
Faster for a guy
if
that
I
doesn't
could-
speed, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
If I could, I would have
Cap,
a Greyhound
first of
bus.
all.
But anyway.
All right. Thank
We
you, Rick.
appreciate. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just saying that's cat. Everyone knows. Let's be real. Everyone is speeded sometime as long as you're driving safe, and I don't advocate it. All that kind of good stuff, but we appreciate it. It is a
Sometimes you
fantastic
just-
whip.
Your foot gets a little heavy on the gas. So
Yeah, man. That's-
You don't even realize it every now and then.
I mean, you know, who's calling my phone? You got to get over there, man. You know, is it Stacy? Who knows who's calling? You got to get ready for that.
They
So,
calling me.
all right. Oh, Rob, here you go. We're going. Oh, by the way, we're redoing this whole studio, Andrew. So the next time you come to visit us, it's going to be completely. All those computers that you saw behind us are all gone. We're opening up this whole
What?
place. Yes, sir. It's going to be a big, big change. So we're excited for that. We'd love to have you back doing that. But keep us up to date, man. We'll be following
by
you.
Christmas?
Yeah. Oh yeah, by the fall, my guy.
We're gonna
doing
do a
it now.
December or October visit then again. I think
There we go. Let's go.
I think that's what's gonna go down.
More than welcome to come over. Andrew, thank you so much. We'll follow you on social. I'm sure you'll have an update as we go through this. But is there an announcement expected in the next few weeks? What are we looking for this announcement that you're doing as far as becoming this professional trader? When does that all hit for you?
When I talk to their compliance,
Okay.
which I haven't done yet. So
Okay. So we'll get. So this may or may not be happening
We
after all. But we'll.
compliance is we love compliance.
Yeah. Shout out to our compliance
Best
officer. What's
people.
going on, my guy?
Always the best people in the firm.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Andrew.
yeah,
Take care.
I'll see you guys
Appreciate
in
you.
court or whenever compliance.
Well, you won't see me in court, but all right. See you, my guy. All right, bye.
Bye.
Yeah. No, I got people to handle my core business. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Compliance is great. I remember when we first started out.
Yeah. No, but that's the beauty about working here. We do have lawyers and everything on there, and the thing about it is of course we're not talking about anything. But that's the thing. If you're going to become a professional trader, obviously there's some vetting that has to happen there. And if you're managing other people's money, especially in the United States, there are certain, Series 7 or whatever you need to grab. Right?
Real talk. You want if you're trading at a prop firm or whatever, you want your broker, you want your firm to have a strong compliance department. Straight up, because you know what? You want to be able to trade tomorrow, and you want to be able to get paid out. And I'm not look, Sean and I have known a lot of other traders and a lot of other firms, so we don't name names or anything like that. But trust me, you don't want to be on the side of it.
We out here naming names, baby.
No, we've known traders that have been moved to other firms, and when those firms go under, sometimes you don't get that last payout and they got money out. It happens. So a strong compliance department matters.
Oh, no, it's the most important.
Yeah, you want to know about your firm. That's why I respect real trading. And to be real, you could say that. Of course, you're going to say that about the firm you're at. Well, you know what? Get paid every single time, and we don't have those issues. So we appreciate them. Shout out to them for sure. Shout out to Andrew. It's always fun to have him on there. But anybody that tells me that you don't speed, you shouldn't do it. And you should always drive safe. But come on, man. We all know that's cap. Sometimes the lead foot happens. As long as you're safe and with the flow of traffic, you're good to go. The flow of traffic right now seems to be stalling on the Nasdaq, and it's stalling at not exactly the volume. It's cooler if I could say it's stalling at VWAP, but it's not. But it's coming relatively close. So every time we keep bouncing, I'm only left in MAR, which just bounced off VWAP. So I just took some out of VWAP. We're going to hang on to the last 15% and see if it absolutely flushes. Maybe we get a reload. I do want to get back into AMD if we can. It was trying to come back up. Can't seem to get to VWAP itself. Maybe this prior support here, 115.30, looks like it could be a bit of a thing. We're almost into power hour. And at the market, trying to stay green, just barely the Nasdaq by a hair.
All right, just real quickly, we talked about some prop trading, so let's go figure out who's making the money. All right, well, here it is, man. This is Real Trading, and if you are part of our floor here, you'd be part of this, and Real Trading has over 300 offices. I have to double check these numbers. It's been a minute. And over 3,000 traders worldwide. So this is called Trader Information Portal. We have the calendars on here. That's our training mode, LMS, market guides, and this is what we're talking about when we're trader alerts, so anything changing in fees. SEC fee just changed again, so So, you know, all these things are posted up here, no problem, every day here at Real Trading. So shout out to the transparency here. And this is what we're talking about here. These are the top 10. It doesn't show top, it just says offices and everything. It doesn't show losers. So everyone's always asking, well, how much did the biggest loser put on? I don't know, but we do have risk controls here. So, you know, nobody's stop loss is $34,000. So someone probably with a stop of maybe, I don't know, 10,000 or something. I have no idea. I'm just throwing out numbers. I have no idea. But right there, $34,000. Congratulations to whoever that was yesterday on the Nasdaq. And then these are the markets that were traded. So something's going on. Like I'm not, you know, it's been a while now that we've seen only a lot of North American markets. So I don't know if Europe right now is just kind of slowed down a little bit for us here, but all Nasdaq, and it's not even, it's still impressive. Don't get me wrong. Like, you know, 4-figure day is always a good day, but you know, normally they're a little bit higher than this. So Nasdaq, a lot of Nasdaq traders. I would say maybe a Tesla or a Palantir. You know, and this is why I stay with these names, because this is what's going on. There's the Chicago, the CME right here as well. So, you know, we can trade all kinds of futures here, including E-minis. So that would be Chicago CME as well. And then all Nasdaq, like not one NYSE name on here. Like
why that's weird to me.
So that's strange, right?
Why that's weird to me is like, if you look at Real Trading, the last month, like Nasdaq was average profit daily per trader, like Nasdaq was like 7th. Now some of that's because more traders on it, but you always see like other markets. There's always like a couple of European markets out there. Surprised not to see the, well, actually I'm not that surprised not to see the New York.
Here we go.
The NYSE has not been as good in a general sense for a while now. Let's be real. So
yeah, no, but it's just the names. Like I just feel like I'm sitting here trading, so are you. It's like, you know, no, but I just mean like, don't you look somewhere else? And this is the thing where people are very focused on individual names, right?
Anecdotally, the only New York stocks that I've traded, I have a long list. BKS,
right,
Foot Locker, and UNH. Everything else is Nasdaq.
So how many symbols? So 3 New York
That's
symbols.
even including deals.
Right. Yeah.
Out of like half the stuff I do is deals, but it's still out of like 15. And if you take out the deal stuff, almost nothing. UNH is a special case, Dow stock, but like tech stocks, they're all now Nasdaq. To the point where I actually accidentally will throw up, if a tech stock's on the New York, I'll get it wrong every time I type it in.
It's you have Uber over there. I mean, there are some New York, some of the bank stocks. Obviously, we're talking about tech.
Yeah, Uber.
Shopify switched over into the Nasdaq. So, yeah, I've traded today 2 New York names. I've only traded 5 names. So I traded BBAI and Uber, along with the futures, Google,
in the New York.
Yep, and Apple. So, you might want to buy Big Bear AI for when it does flip over to the Nasdaq.
It's not going to stay in there.
All right, what's up, Adara?
Here is our earnings and events calendar for May 16th. That's tomorrow. You can check these out every day on X at TTV Research. I post them around this time of day as we start Power Hour. And in case you're wondering, yeah, no earnings tomorrow, at least no major earnings. But 10 a.m., we do have a pretty key economic data point that is going to be the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment print. We know this can and has moved the market as of late. We also know the Fed is watching these inflation expectations pretty closely. So keep an eye on that print, both the consumer sentiment and the inflationary aspect of the number. This is the calendar, and again, you can check all of these out on X at TTV Research. I post frequently throughout the day, be it market updates or just cool infographics. Back to you.
Thank you very much there, Adara. Day trader cut. Why is it that many public companies prefer to be listed on the Nasdaq than New York? It's when did that shift happen? It was a few years ago.
I don't know if that is true or not.
It feels anecdotally true. I don't know. I don't have the exact stats on. I'm sure actually someone at our firm probably could answer that question better than we could. Well, anecdotally, it seems very true to us just based on what we look at every single day.
Yeah.
That's about.
We could find out like how many names, but so I think the thing is too is there's listing fees and there's all these different things that go along with that, right? And then exposure and things like that. And I don't know, like why a Big Bear AI would choose New York instead of Nasdaq. Who knows? But yeah. And what was eToro? That must have been a Nasdaq name, right? Yeah, eToro. Let's have a check what that's doing today. CoreWeave, also a Nasdaq name. So I mean, that would make sense, right? SMCI, I thought might have been New York.
Reddit picked New York.
Yeah, Reddit was New York. Yeah. They read it and they forget it. But yeah, eToro today down 4% again. This is one of those names. I don't know enough about this platform or anything like that, but another one that IPO yesterday near the lows again. I mean, that low of $61. I don't know what was up with. Yeah. What are we happy about over there, Joe?
Coin is dropping again.
Yeah. Where are you in that position? Okay, Joe Money over here is in Coinbase. Let's go have a quick look at that one. But I was just going to say, like, eToro, that's just another example of, oh, yeah, nice little wick. Oh, that's why you got to catch that, my guy. You got to have bids down there. You got to have bids down there. Yeah. Anyway, this is what's going to happen on Studio 8. You know, like, we're going to have more talks like this. So when I see Joey Money over here, and then he's like, what have I done? It is about putting bids where you don't think orders can go because, oh, no. That's okay. At least you didn't get stopped at the high of Apple. Yeah, okay. Well, get back in. Joe, this is the thing.
You can get the
What are you doing?
position.
What are you doing putting your hands on your head, man? So the thing is that if you flatten by accident, you know what flatten does? It just gets you at a current market price.
Yes. Well, spread could get you on.
Well, okay, on Coinbase,
on Coinbase, the spread. The problem with it, that's the only thing on a stock. Like right now, it's about.
Well, you would hit a dark pool.
It's about 30, 40 cents, but you can probably get a lot of dark pool midpoints in there. That's a frustrating thing. It happens to you on most stocks. You can get right back in at the same price if you wanted to. But yeah, Coin could be a little bit different. Some people have mentioned UNH was headed back down. It's oddly enough, UNH real strong, sort of, but it looks like it's coming right back in here. Maybe VWAP will be a hold. This could be, I mean, I hesitate to say it, but this could be the start of something on UNH. I meant to go to the weekly chart. Where is it? Oh, my E-signal chart's here. Could be the start of something. It didn't quite get to the 240 level we were kind of highlighting. And remember, we're just guessing at price levels. I don't intend on swinging into this thing until something obvious happens. Like Andrew said, catch the right side of the V. I firmly believe that when bottom picking. I would rather miss the bottom by a lot to have a higher percentage shot at getting a win than anything else. Because otherwise, Fabian, this isn't even a falling knife. This is something else. Like, remember the scene in Dr. Strangelove? That's what's happening right now. Great movie, by the way. And you're just riding the bomb down the whole way. It's kind of, if you've never seen Dr. Strangelove, it's worth watching. Let's go to, I believe we're going to Adara.
Coinbase did have that little drop. It made back some of it, but not all of it. It's still trading within this range, though. Basically, what happened here for COIN is that I'm seeing news here on X. Apparently, the Coinbase hackers had access to customer data since January. To be clear, this just came out today. So apparently, they've had access to this data for roughly 4 months. We'll have to wait for the details on that, but certainly not a great look when you combine this catalyst, the hacking catalyst from earlier today, and the fact that apparently the SEC has been investigating the company's, I guess, misstating of user metrics for quite a while now. Also, apparently, I'm seeing this as well, the White House putting out here that Occidental, ExxonMobil, and EOG are partnering with ADNOC, the expanded oil and natural gas production valued at $60 billion. Keep an eye on XOM and OXY, not really moving here yet. Back to you.
There for that. Yeah, I mean, look, that's a tricky one there. Tough road to hoe. You guys saw me put that in the chat before. Shout out to Raider Trader, the guys in the chat, if you want to ask them any questions. Get in there. You have to be a sub to get into the chat. Okay, again, just real quickly here, one more time as we talk some stock. I think Coinbase there at VWAP, I mean, with this news especially, looks to be a pretty juicy trade. If we can get into that area to be short again. But remember, stocks, they don't price in news that's already happened. That's already in the name, right? So you have to be very, very careful and say, like, okay, that story's out there. We have an advantage because Adara is scouring through, you know, all of the sources and trying to get us, you know, the most up-to-date information as far as this stuff is concerned. But just watch out. That was probably that big drop there. We've already seen this happen midday. So remember, a lot of this stuff is baked in. Not to say that we have to be scared to trade this, because we're not. It's just, let's wait to see where this action is, and then maybe even a tomorrow trade. It's funny that we talked about that. I was talking about Coinbase coming back in where we'd think about getting long. So now what's the catalyst to get back in there? How about fraud again? Like, that's just crazy. And it's not that, maybe it's not fraud. That's probably too harsh of a term. But, you know, overstating or understating or misstating user metrics, especially when people are looking at that, right? It's like if all of a sudden you found out that, you know, Instagram didn't have 6 billion daily active users, or I think it's 3 billion or something like that, you know, and it was like more like 2 billion, you know, I mean, that's part of it. And we saw that with Twitter, especially when Elon was looking at that company and bought it. He had talked about all of the robo accounts and everything like that, right? Bumping up some of those numbers. So we got to watch out for that. Obviously, Coinbase is going to be very, very heavily valued on their user base and what's been going on with the company. So yeah, again, just watch out, be careful, tread lightly on Coinbase. The story's obviously not done yet. And thanks for bringing it to us, Adara, and thank you to everybody for continuously coming back and hearing these stories from us. So, all right, and speak of the devil, another one story here from Miss A.
White House is putting out these fact sheets here. That's usually what they do after there's some kind of announcement or deal. We know Donald Trump has been making several this week. They put out a fact sheet kind of summarizing some of the aspects of what went down or what happened. They do the same with executive orders. And I bring this up because a handful of publicly traded companies are getting name dropped in these fact sheets, for lack of a better term. I mentioned earlier we had that oil deal with XOM, EOG, and Occidental. But we also here have a couple other companies being named: Amazon Web Services and UAE Cybersecurity Council, apparently launching a sovereign cloud launch pad. So Amazon teaming up here with the UAE Cybersecurity Council. Keep an eye on AMZN. Also keep an eye on RTX. RTX, or formerly known as Raytheon, here at day's highs, continuing strong. They're partnering with the Emirates Global Aluminum and UAE's Tawazun Council on gallium critical mineral projects. So RTX and AMZN on watch, along with these oil plays. Back to you.
All right, we just got filled Google now, $2. That's coming back down as well. We'll look for some more trades as we go. I'm sort of just still doing this one. I want to find a setup. We now are into Power Hour. I saw.
It was a setup.
Yeah, you want to talk about that? Yeah.
Someone just asked, are you short? Well, I'm muted. Someone just asked if I'm short AMD. Missed the curl. You can see where the topping tails were. I was kind of thinking it would go a little bit tighter into 115, like the 30s. It ended up curling at 25s when it, cancel that. When it came back and failed to 25s, I tried to jump into it and didn't catch the move. So looks like this one's headed lower. I am looking, one of the other names the other name that I was looking at was a potential flat bottom on SMCI. I'm just hesitant. Like when it's relatively strong, I'm not as much of a fan of it on SMCI. Like to me, you've missed the top of this move, and you're just kind of hoping that the floodgates open up on the futures if you take the short through the low. So yeah, it might be AMD on some kind of a pop to the upside, but I'm going to keep hunting. Like a name that I tried today that actually didn't work, but I had pretty tight stops on, which ended up working out for me, was Micron. But again, this one is relatively strong. What I liked about it was simply, hey, as strong as it was, I wanted to look for that reversion off of the high. But it is still at those highs. It's so different when you're trying to short something for the market curl. And then when the market does the curl and it's still up there, do I love shorting it as much? And the answer is no. Like I'd rather something which is following it. So I might try to get into AMD if we can get some kind of a higher low. Another Nasdaq stock, obviously. Might be running out of time. It's only 311. I could also reload Mara, but that's not moving because IBIT's not moving as much. Like Mara I'm bouncing off VWAP syndrome as well. So until that breaks through, either it has to give me a shot at a better price or show me some follow through through the low of the day. So I'm still kind of looking for some ideas. KK14, when will Marvell get out of the doghouse? I don't know, maybe after they report, which they shouldn't have yet. MRVL earnings. I'm actually not, off the top of my head, I don't remember. My guess is, I think we have not got, did we get the report already from Marvell?
I don't, they're either really early or really late.
They're usually closer to NVIDIA's report.
I will find out.
Like, yeah, oh, there it is. 29th of May.
14 days. The day after, actually. Good call. Day after.
Well, the only reason I remember that is when I missed NVIDIA earnings in Paris, I also missed Marvell. That's the only reason I always remember that. So I think I'll be missing that one too. But yeah, that's when they get out of the doghouse. It's not cool when the chip names have rallied so much and they haven't gone. But keep in mind, this still looks like a good curl. Like if I was, this is not a stock I was buying dips on, but if this is one that I would have, I'd be in it. If I wanted to buy dips on Marvell, I'd probably have bought this consolidation that we're in right now. The regain of the 50-period moving average. If it's a tight stop, then you give it to, like I guess this close here under the 50, which is about $60. If you want to be more loose, you can give it to like 54. You play it into earnings. Like that's the kind of thing I'd be more interested in. It's a flat 200-period moving average, but slightly down sloping. So I think you take it to resistance on a play like that. But the earnings in 2 weeks, so we'll see. They're going to have some good growth. They got beaten up so badly, you'd like it to catch up somewhat, the way NVIDIA has gone to the upside. Urban Trader AYTU. I haven't looked at this today. I know Sharif was all over this small cap, but I have not looked at it until literally this moment right here. That looks pretty strong. Volume's kind of meh, but it's good on the day at 50 million. And when you zoom it out, hey, it's at a decent level. Yeah, that's that's a chop zone. I was kind of thinking, well, if you're breaking out there, but then you look at all of that chop between 240 and 250, which would explain why we're stalling at 240 and 250. So yeah, this is more, it's dip buys into the level, not buy the highs into overhead resistance, which always seems to be the case. Bring it up at that high of the day. So yeah, that's not going to be one for me. You'd love to have something a little bit on the VWAP, 215, 210, something like that. So just going to hang on to Mara. AMD's creeping up, so we might get a shot at this again at 115.25.
Yeah, there's Adair should probably check this out. MSOS with the marijuana space moving. Thank you for everybody in the chat there talking about this. Yeah, huge move up right now for this name. I mean, it's 7%. I shouldn't say huge, but there is a move up right now in UN and UNH as well. But right here, right now. So we'll have to wait to see what this story is on MSOS. You know, you got to be careful as we wait to hear what is going on right now in the marijuana space. But yeah, big move up there. Probably just more talk. Probably, I don't know if that's Speaker Eric Trump. Okay, it says Bitcoin accumulation is a race to the top. Okay, that's nice. Not really seeing too much else here on the news side of it, but there goes MSOS. And if we're going to think about where it was going to stop, I mean, it has a lot of upside to go. You know, the last time we got a little bit of, you know, excitement here, a couple good green candles to the top, and it was 340 or so where we kind of came to that stop. So we'll wait to see if that is going to hit again there, 340 or change for MSOS, but right now up 8% and trying to go. So I do hear that we do have something. Let's go find out what Adair is up to again.
What we have here is some confusion here on social media. I checked Marijuana Moment. I've talked about Marijuana Moment a lot. They are this website that, as you can guess by the name, they cover cannabis-related news stories. A lot of the times, I would say about 90 to 95% of the time, when we get a move in these cannabis names, it's because of something posted here on Marijuana Moment. I'm not seeing anything relevant. Their most recent post seems to be about New Hampshire senators approving a psilocybin decriminalization bill. But that, like, they don't actually have times when they posted things. I know it was posted today, but I don't know what time. So what I'm trying to tell you here is MSOS, just a lot of confusion here on X, a lot of people pumping the ticker. Even then, we haven't had any action on X for about a minute, which for MSOS is significant. Back to you.
Just scan some of the individual names and came to the sudden realization that Tilray is at 44 cents.
Yep.
And then was surprised to know that, hey, you know what, Neil? It's been under 50 cents for the last month and a half. Like, it broke 50 cents a while ago. Yikes. Yeah, but that's not going. CGC, I wanted to see if there was an individual name that was doing outstanding volume in the space, but the answer to that ended up being a resounding no. So probably not going to happen there. Yeah, Shane, we can always take a quick look at UNH. I think, when I say I think it's made some kind of a temporary bottom, I still hold the same rule, like hold a level for a couple of days and then break the next one is always a rule that I tend to like. There was a good opportunity for the trend reversal. Like, it didn't work for me on DKS, but it did work almost in the VWAP here on UNH, right? Like, it trended down. It happened right at $250. So like the 250 did a false break. So you had both the bottoming tail candle and you had a trend break from the open. There's your trend line. So that happened at the same time, and then it played into the volume weighted average price. I don't like that trade past the VWAP. That's just something that I've looked at over the time that it's gone. Sometimes you get an extension, but most of the time when it extends over, then really you can just be longing it above VWAP anyways. And the times it fails under VWAP, it ends up making a fresh low too often. So I like to get out on the way up. But UNH only 11% down, which is good for them. Chewy's breaking out apparently. There was some chatter about GameStop having a good day because they bought ETH apparently in addition to Bitcoin. GameStop did. Chewy not really doing much of anything either. So yeah, not anything crazy. And I'm not seeing anything popping off on any of the scanners either. That's the disappointing thing. But the market is trending down. So I do still want to short the pop in AMD if we can. Ooh, I might get the reload in Mara. I mean, it's still like 10 cents.
Yeah, so we're $2 in the money now plus on Google, and it just wicked down to 85 or 80s. Sorry, so I'm bidding 85s right now. Rate just stopped on us again, but we'll probably get that fill. So we're bidding 85s right now. We have less than 10%. They have way left. We have like 5% left, if probably about that, right? Now, as we cleared out a lot down here at 162 and change, so we'll wait to see if we do get that fill. All right, tonight on the recap show, get ready, Bears versus Bulls. If you do have any questions or anything like that, we're going to do a Q&A. So Adara and I, if there are any questions, more important that you give them to Adara. Look, Adara used to be on the show all midday with Sharif, right? And so if you do have any questions for her, it's been a minute, get ready to ask those. We'll do some Q&A. We'll still do our normal recap show, but a little bit light on earnings. In fact, I don't know if there's any. So we'll do some Q&A on the recap show tonight. So
get ready to interrogate Sean and I. Also, we do have earnings, AMAT at 4, and then 4:05 we have TTWO, and then Kava at 4:10.
Oh, okay, TTWO, so Take Two Interactive there as well, and Kava, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what am I talking about? We do have some kind of earnings, but yeah, get ready. Put your questions there in the chat, and then if Bears vs. Bulls sees anything that he likes, or Adara maybe as well, then we'll try to clip those and then get them, for you at some point during the recap show. So, even like, oh, what's your favorite animal? I don't know. You have a favorite animal? Mine's a polar bear. Or a hawk, like a hawk eagle, like a sort of like a like a top dog bird.
I thought we kind of discussed it before. I've always been impressed by tigers. Like
okay, yeah, I think we did.
They're just like they're beasts. We might have gone over that one. I was
tigers. I'm definitely a tiger guy.
Apparently, we've got breaking news.
Look at Meta crashing.
About Meta here, guys. So Wall Street Journal reporting that Meta is going to be delaying the rollout of its flagship AI model called Behemoth. So leading to a bit of a behemoth drop, if you will, in META after the Wall Street Journal reports the company is going to be delaying the rollout of its flagship AI model. Back to you.
Says Equius, the Hawk-Eagle combination. No, but no, I was just saying a hawk or an eagle.
Oh,
not both of those combined.
Well, if you can combine it, then I want a liger.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can't just do this.
Shazar said the same thing.
Tiger Global is now out of 3 million shares of Uber Technologies. That's just hitting the wire now as well. To me, that means it should be up, but we'll wait to see what happens.
They've covered it all.
Yeah, if they covered it all. So I don't know when that story hit, but we just got that right now. So let's go back over to Meta. Yeah, look, man, delaying rollouts of things, obviously pretty important there. But remember, delaying the rollout. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that if you like it, then you buy it anyways. So it's a nice downside move here. Look, as long only and long forever, I just want stocks to get cheaper prices, but just not too much. We did sell some Palantir there at 130.50 or 130.30, something like that, in between there 2 days ago when it topped out. It got right back into 134, 135 yesterday. But at some point, this rally back that we've had in many of these names is a selling opportunity, whether or not you are long only or holding forever or going to give these shares to your kids, whatever. If you sold right here and bought back right here, then you're giving more shares to your kids and having more money in your portfolio. But those decisions are hard. Often when you sell, it's very hard to pick the tops or the bottoms of anything. So I think it's important to just, sometimes sit back and breathe a little bit. Like, that's a good story. There it comes right back into where it was 2 days ago. So it's not like the end of the world here for Meta. You had that huge gap right there. This gap may get filled. That's when you would start to worry if you're long up here somewhere. But I still think there's some upside there in Meta. We obviously like the stock, but wow, Adara, great call. She brought it to us at 646, 645, just gave you $3 or $4 to the downside. And my guy is absolutely cranking right now to the downside. So good day overall now, as there goes Google, man. And again, this is what we do as traders. We making calls. I have tons of these fills because I just, quite frankly, have tons of shares. So that's why I'm doing this, and I never know where to get out. I just need to do better on that. I wish that they set the minimum out for higher, so then I wouldn't have all of these, but it is what it is. So that's something that I have to change mentally for myself. We can get in and out of like 1 share, 2 shares, 5 shares. Like, that's not something like, if it was 10 shares, 30 shares, 50 shares, 100 share minimum, then obviously I wouldn't have all of these outs. Because if I have 1,000 shares there and every one of these is 100 shares, then I'd be long now, right? So still short right now on Google as we come way back in right now. So yeah, let's see, man. Maybe this Meta thing is affecting many more stocks. So we're going to go to Neil, then we'll come back and maybe look at the Mag 7 in general, because stocks are heading lower here.
Yeah, I set the break for SMCI. If it breaks that 44, I'm taking that flat bottom break for sure. And it'll happen any second now. But you know what? For anyone out there, we've talked about it time and time again. If you want the top tier odds, then you want ProfitX, because it gives you not just that, it gives you total control of your betting game. ProfitX brings you peer-to-peer picking. It's open API access, so you can automate. It's cost-efficient trading of your plays all in one spot. You're day trading your favorite sports, like hockey, basketball, whatever you want. Maybe you want to play the PGA Championship this weekend. And it's a diverse prediction options. Don't just place your picks. You want to exchange them. ProfitX is a smarter and faster way to play. And you can use the code TraderTV to get the sign-up offer of 2% cash back up to $300. Scan the QR code out in front of you. Shout out to ProfitX. And we've learned our lesson. Not going to until tomorrow. Tomorrow, this is what happened last time. If you put on the line the day before, you didn't get as much odds and there wasn't as much action. But right now, the Leafs for the next game, which is of course do or die, you're getting plus 200. I wish it wasn't do or die, but it is. That's where we're at right now. Unfortunately, you can't really do anything about it, but the boys are going to rally. I'm pretty confident about that. I think cancel that. So obviously AMD reload, which we didn't get. Now you're pressing low of the day. That's the reason I'm not going to punch the low here, but I wanted something that can catch up. And now that the market's losing the volume weighted average price, there's the break in SMCI. I just got 99s in. First stop, it probably has to break the volume weighted average price. Like, it takes them out there, see if it can't be a reload underneath, and then look for either 42.8, 43. Those would be the next levels of interest for this name. So the Nasdaq just broke the volume weighted average price. Looks like we're headed lower almost instantly. Let's throw a bit out there. My stop's going to the prior bar high, as you can see. I use a 3-minute chart. Just in case anyone wants to know. So I'm going to bid in front of the 80s, and then we'll see if we can't get a consolidation under the volume-weighted average price. At 3:30, we're going to check out some of them imbalances. And remember, tomorrow, Coinbase and Shop. Because Coinbase is so big, I always forget the other one. Are going into the index. Sometimes you can get action that's expected at the end of the week. There could be some numbers the day before as well. So as quick as you like, we get VWAP. I want a continuation underneath as well. Ooh, Meta's looking bad.
Ooh.
Maybe it does matter.
Oh, God. Yeah, Google turning around as well, man, at $2.50. Now going lower, but we don't have too many shares left. Yeah, good call out there in the chat. Someone talked about gold. I was thinking about, actually, I was like, you know what, we missed a lot of this move higher in the market, right? I mean, not really, but, didn't buy the lows per se. I was thinking about the same thing for gold, and I wanted to come in today because I couldn't remember what the 50-period moving average was on my way in today. And I wanted to look at it, and I was like, you know what, I'll think about buying some GLD because I'm only in right here on this break, like this break right here. So it's like 257, 258, something like that is where I'm long, and it's such a small part. Like, even when I buy gold, I'm not going to put this even at 2% of my portfolio. I just want to hold some because it's coming back in there. And I thought just as, and more like looking at it as a stock, like not even looking at it as like, oh my God, I want to hold gold to hedge all the longs that I have in the Mag 7 or anything. It's just like, I'm looking at this just like something else, right? Like an ETF, like something I want to buy. And I mean, it's coming back into the 50-period moving average. It's really respected it for a while. So if I hide the symbol right now and I look at this and I just say, okay, this actually is a pretty healthy stock, right? And it's gold, so I know that. But nice move to the upside there, topping out, hitting the 50-period moving average. Whenever you hit this and bounce off of it, especially like we're doing today, its next move is higher, right? I mean, it could retake this. Like, this move does not get to the 50 period, then we go higher, we do not break it. Now we get down to the 50 period, see if there's actually buyers, which there might be down here at 290, and now get bumped back up. And it's not like the market's helping this out, it's helping it right now, but we were positive pretty much like this whole day we've been trending higher. The Nasdaq right now is just dropping down. Like, the Nasdaq was trending higher all day until we got to 1230 and then woof to the downside, right? Anyways, I do like that trade. All right, Apple's trying to bounce. So it looks like holding on to Google was actually the better trade than holding on to Apple. So this right now is a monster trade for me. P&L wise, maybe the most, but I'm trying to keep on adding to that. So I hope like this might be my biggest trade on the show. I'm hoping tomorrow I can have a bigger one and then the next day even a bigger one. So yeah, this is a good one there for Google all the way down. You know, looking back, why did we do it like that? So I feel like now I'm just going to switch it up and just stop getting out so many times, even though I'm just getting out small. We're going to just try to hold and get out at key levels rather than doing this, right? But that's the problem. Maybe I should hide the P&L, then I wouldn't have to worry about it. All right, so you said AMAT after hours. So let's have a quick look at Applied Materials. Again, a name that we never really look at. Flat on the day, so that's nice. So a little bit stronger than the market. We've seen a nice rebound in AMAT, right? And now that I look at this and open it up, you do have some nice upside plays still to come. We're knocking on heaven's door here at the 200 period moving average, you know, and that's dangerous because with earnings, that's sort of a level that you want to see generally above it, then the fall back into it for earnings. So right now we've already had a pretty monstrous move in the last week heading up for AMAT. So I would be worried about this call. And I don't know enough about the business as much as I should to make any calls like this, but just looking at the chart, 50 period up to the 200, and now thinking about it, I would be a little careful there. And plus, good earnings always haven't meant, you know, that the stock hence has a huge opportunity to move higher, right? I mean, we've seen Cisco today have that huge move higher off of, again, right? We talk about bouncing off that 50 period moving average, the 200's all the way down here. So we're going opposite. We've already bounced off the 200. Cisco now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Forget about that. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 straight up days with a little decision candle here at the 50 period moving average.
It's a bullish decision candle, if anything.
Because it closed, it didn't cover that?
If you're gonna
I'm not even sure that should be group red.
If you're going to have, it doesn't look like it should be, but if you're going to have a red candle, you want it to look like that with the wick underneath.
Yeah. And now you're all the way up here. So again, the last time we were this far away from the 200 period moving average, this happened, right? So just be careful. We're at some highs now on Cisco, but again, there's another name that reported kind of out of nowhere in our world. Obviously, you guys that own Cisco would know about this, but that's like, I didn't know Cisco was going crazy like this. And then the other name was Kava. I don't know if you saw McDonald's.
I take, I put it in the chat, Lamb over AMAT. And even the price action will.
That's not tonight, is it? No.
No. They're just. I mean, they're in the same space. Where the guys that make the machines that make chips. So like they're integral. Not quite the same as ASML because ASML has a very, very particular thing that they sell. Which although they're going to get some competition at some point, but Lamb looks much better than AMAT. Great run the last couple of days for Lamb, but hey, we've seen with all that run in SMH at all, it makes a lot of sense. But I prefer them for sure. Coin, I'm going to take the coin quick little second, but we just had a nice hold, I guess, if you're looking bullish on SMCI. So took that leg out. At this point, the market's already bouncing. It's a good chance if we break through VWAP, then this is going to come right back in. So the stop moves to break even once you get to first support. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oops, I canceled the Mara stop, which doesn't really matter because that's not being threatened, but I'll pull that back in a quick little second. And I wanted to show Coinbase. I looked over briefly. I didn't know if Joe was still over there, but he took off. But Coinbase rolling back to the low of the day. So it ends up, coin could end up retesting this low. I don't know if it's a chase, but to the point of, we were talking about with Sean and with Joe, if you ever keystroke out of something, if nothing has changed, that's the key thing. If nothing has changed, you can always jump right back in. If you keystroke out because, say, you heard a news story and it spooked you out, well, the story might have meant something changed. So you don't necessarily want to automatically punch in. I've been through that boat before where I've heard news and then punched out. In the moment, it was a bad decision. You never get that, Phil. Never get that, Phil.
I get that, Phil, but when I'm short and then it punches me out.
No, so the thing is, when a stock like this, which Mara 1 cent up there, like it goes to 70, just because you're sitting at 69 or 69.5, just because you see prints at 70 doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get filled. I like to use the midpoint, but if it breaks through the level, you're sure to get filled. But I missed that fill. That's why I said my stop doesn't matter on Mara, that I just cancel it because I never got the reload. So I'm just going to wait for 1540, see what happens at the end of the day. But that's just how it is. And yeah, keep in mind, of course, like if you accidentally, it's not just if you accidentally get out of something, if you accidentally get into something, it's equally important to just don't even worry about it. If you didn't mean to be in, just get out.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than, hey, you know what? Well, now that I'm in this, might as well manage the position that I had no intention of getting. And it happens. I've clicked on the wrong level 2 trading multiple stocks and punched into the wrong. I thought I had clicked on the level 2 to the new stock and I was punching into the old one. And it sucks, but the best you can do is simply get out of it. There's nothing you can do about it. It happens so many times over 20 years, but holding the position is the worst thing that you can do. So it looks like we're trying to bounce off VWAP. As I said, going to wait 1540. I'm contemplating just getting out if we break VWAP at 15.6 on Mara. And AMD, at this point, like I think we've missed it. There's a chance it could come back into 115, but it's a much different trade shorting it after a bottom like this, which I'm not entirely likely to do. I think right now you might be looking for something that could be a bounce long. And my first 2 places I look in the afternoon would be NVIDIA or Tesla.
All right, yeah, I mean, I like both those names.
Well, Tesla might look a little bit stronger. Check the imbalances.
On Tesla? Yeah, well, those imbalances won't be out yet.
No, or any early looks.
Oh, okay.
I said I would do it at 3:30.
There'll be no early looks on Nasdaq.
No, I won't, but New York is.
Oh, yeah, New York, yeah.
Remember, it's also MSCI at the end of the month. That'll happen, but the big index ones are the bigger ones, CNQ, Pfizer. I feel like that's there the last couple of days. So nothing too big, but you never know. You could see like UNH. I'd be interested to see if Foot Locker's up there for a potential trade because it's done such ridiculous volume. If I see Foot Locker there, I think there could be a trade. Target's in there. No Walmart, which oddly enough we didn't look at once today. Walmart reported and we didn't really talk about them. Right, stops in. What is Walmart doing? This is for me, curiosity-wise. Hey, good bounce on Walmart here. They went down after earnings, despite the fact that it was a pretty solid report. They don't seem to care. Ooh, that looks bad. It looks better on the 15-minute chart. Then you can get a better sense of where it was really trading, which was 93, 99, and then right back in the middle to do nothing. That kind of sucks for Walmart. It's good that it bounced back. It's bad that it can't follow through. I don't think I've changed my opinion on Walmart. I still want to wait for one of the moving averages to make my next move.
All right, those of you wondering what's going on with Meta, first of all, Meta is delaying the release of its behemoth AI model due to concerns about its capabilities. Meta is contemplating management changes to its AI product group due to the performance of Llama 4 team. So that's what dropped this down. The keyword is delaying the release of its behemoth AI model due to concerns about its capabilities. So not happy with the way it's working out, and obviously getting rid of those in charge of it is a good step for Meta. I think it's actually a positive story, to be honest with you, as time is always on our side here, so we'll wait to see what that means. I mean, changing up the management because something's not working, progressive move.
Usually a good thing.
But I do like scanning e-signal, and shout out to Ozen and everybody else that has done this. Make sure you do scan that e-signal code right now. Grab your first month for free to join us. I use e-signal every single day. I stay back late. I look at charts. I look at the mistakes I made. I use the tick replay that they have. Every single, even procured, self-made indicators that are already in there from other traders, these watch lists, wide array of tools, also being able to hook up to over 50 plus brokers, obviously really huge for that as well. And plus over 500 symbols of data at once. I mean, that's huge, right? So whether or not you're looking at New York names, Nasdaq names, anything in Europe, all entitlements that you can get there over at eSignal. So a big shout out to our friends over there at eSignal. That's Yeti is not them. Yours, you have the ICE one there for Intercontinental Exchange that owns eSignal and NYSE, and I think over 17 different markets worldwide. So join them and get the power of charting in your hands, kind of like the power of Grayskull a little bit. But all right, so as we continue to go on here today, there goes Meta, nice little downside move, of course, right now happening off of 646. I don't know, I say of course, but I have no idea where this name's gonna go right now, but it is trying to go upside now, and UNH is another one of those runners right now. Oh, one thing I forgot to do, make sure that you do hit us up in chat right now, because both Adair and I will be doing a little bit of a Q&A after hours. Adair is clapping as we speak, so we like that. Ask us anything. There's already questions about You know, trading with Adair, I've already got some. Bears versus Bulls has sent out some to me. So if they are in there, get those going. Tonight's recap show starts at 4 o'clock. We do have a few earnings names to go through. So we'll go over those. And yeah, any questions related to pretty much anything, we will do it. Hopefully they're more trade related than anything else, but personal ones are fun to do as well. Yeah, UNH 275. So if you thought there was some sort of a wall or something at 250, 275 is another one of those key levels, right? I mean, trading the quarters, the next level after that would be 3 bills. So yeah, nice little bounce there from that bottom. Again, we know the investigation, new CEO, change of the way operations are working now over there in the United States with healthcare. UNH continues to go down. I feel like a safer play, though, of course, would be an XLV. If we talked about this also with Raider Trader. He went with Humana, another, I guess, healthcare provider, insurance name. They're coming into play. So there go. Again, as you can tell, I don't really know that much about the space, but there's XLV as well. So again, taking out some risk right now. Right, we're hearing more about the Coinbase hackers. They've had customer data since January. That's hitting our, yep, exactly. That's hitting our ear now, and Adair's already reported that. So anyways, XLV, look at the healthcare ETF. Wow, absolutely crushed right now. So 242 now for Coinbase. So off of its lows a little bit, but yeah, man. Like I said, that news was here. You had an opportunity to short this name around 245, 247. Those are big dog trades that I like to make, but did not make this one, as there goes Coinbase all the way to the downside there again. So I thought, were you just in AMD or no? Like nothing's really happening for me.
I was in AMD for, like that was
a hot minute, yeah.
We got out of AMD, and that's the one I missed the re-entry into. We did get into I almost said our good friend, SoFi, SMCI. It basically played into VWAP, but then VWAP held. So if I'm taking, remember, this was not like an A+ setup on a trend break is like that short. Or you can make a strong argument for, you make an argument for that, which I think is a weak short, because what kind of trend line is that? It's nonsense. But we took it on the flat bottom break with the idea that if it lost VWAP, it could really accelerate for us. But it didn't. So it basically played 99 into I got something at 77 or something like that. So about like 20 pennies. And then I moved the stop to break even. I ended up getting out pretty much exactly at 44.01. So, no big follow through, but it ends up a winning trade. I just got out of Mara, as you can probably, there you go. It did update. Zach got through VWAP. So that was a trend. That's a better trend break because you get a steeper move where you get in and you've got room for it to rally. Those we prefer. But there was nothing exactly like that this afternoon that really set up in a perfect way today. PMAX said they made money on SMCI. If you were long,
beautiful.
Like look at that V. The V shape on this is impressive. And I know we don't always look at the higher time frame. Okay, yes, fine. I was looking for a short this afternoon. We got in and out of, but SMCI is still in the midst of a breakout right now. All it did is consolidate above the next resistance level. That's all that happened. And as a matter of fact, not only did it do that, it dipped into it and held that 42. So it's still in a bullish run. And until 42 or that area breaks, I think you're still looking pretty constructive. The shorts are not out of the, they're not off the hook because we went down 2.5% on SMCI. Like this breakout just started 2 days ago for these guys. And it doesn't necessarily matter what the earnings are for them because, and I have to go to my e-signal chart because this will be a little bit better. Ours isn't split adjusted here at Real Trading. The reason why the shorts are not out of the water is this hasn't even on a monthly chart, it hasn't put a dent until you break 50. And if I go back to a more reasonable looking chart like let's go to a weekly chart, so you can actually see some levels a bit better. Then you get an idea of what might happen just on a break of 50. I think 55 into 60 is very, very reasonable. So it's almost like the second inning here for MSCI. I'm hoping it can break 50, and that can be a trade we're looking at maybe next week. But for now, you're trading off the 42 level, I suppose, is your long support.
All right, Tesla. Everyone's excited about Tesla. Almost green. Let's see if we can get to green there today. Yeah, good bounce, obviously, now happening. Not really market related, I don't think, because the market's not really having this kind of a move. But At the end of the day, it's up to the 200 period moving average, and that's where it stopped again. I mean, there's reasons why I have this on the chart, but it doesn't mean that it works all the time. I mean, here it just cut like a knife, and then again, and then again. But right there gives you some kind of an idea, and like I said, man, always looking for that edge to try to get in and out at certain levels, and the 200 period would be a decent one, 343, so that's right where we are right now. Let's see if Tesla wants to work it. We've made some really great Tesla trades late in the day, but normally it's off of some kind of levels that we've seen, like barcoding and then a break off of it. It would kind of be like that Coinbase trade. But right now, I'm not really seeing anything unless we take out that top. So I feel like if you've been in this name, I still think, like Andrew, like we wrote down right on here today. I mean, I don't talk to this kid, to be honest with you. There it is right here. Nasdaq feeling heavy at these levels. I mean, that's exactly what I wrote down there today. And Nasdaq, yeah, looks to be feeling pretty heavy right now. Wasn't feeling that way earlier, though. I mean, the Nasdaq did have a nice move. Here's the Nasdaq open. I'm completely dead wrong, right? I mean, the Nasdaq's going to be sort of up from where we were here at the open. So tomorrow, I'm probably going to be bearish again. I mean, let's see where we open up tomorrow into the at the open, and then we'll trade it accordingly off of that. Noticing that my best trades are definitely happening later on in the day when we do have more defined ins and outs. So I think we'll wait and be a little bit more cautious on tomorrow's trading early, because wow, did we make a shnikey amount of trades there today, especially on that Google, where that was a really good one. Robinhood, man, I turned over and I said to Joe, no worries, man, we should be buying some more. And that was basically right when we threw to them at 11 o'clock. That's just a fluke. I wasn't calling along or anything like that. I was just thinking that Robinhood had gotten beat up, and this is another name. If you want to talk about longer term trades, I do like a Robinhood. It's just, you have to let it settle down now. It's had such an epic run. They were down on their report and now back upside. So let's just give it back to the 50 period moving average. It was only 7 days ago you had it at $47, $48. That should have been, you know, again, Twitter fingers turns into buying shares fingers, and we should have done that right there at 46, 48. So we'll figure that all out, and if Robinhood comes back down, I do like that play, and I don't know, wow, okay, I didn't realize JP Morgan got this high today, especially off the jump there. What? 270, okay. This is a name that I am pretty heavily invested. I think it might be my largest position in the swing account. And it's not even a swing account, I just call it that. I've really never swung anything out of it, just our TFSA tax-free. So here in Canada, you could put like 6 or 7 grand a year. It keeps on changing. It goes up 5% every year or something like that. That's why I don't. You can put that in and then invest it at your will and do whatever you want. You just can't go short anything. But you can now use levered ETFs that are short.
I don't think you could. I don't think they let you go in OTC, which is...
Oh no, they don't let you go in OTC, no, because I wanted to buy Fannie Mae.
Yeah, like there are some restrictions. I think the same thing came up, because remember there was that story a while back.
I know. I told Mateo that I want to get Fannie Mae, and I went to buy some at like $1, and it didn't...
Yeah, and I called him like, oh, why? It's silly. Like, it's not... Anyways... I don't think the OTC, like, it's a bad reputation, but there's certainly instruments in there that if you know what you're doing, it's perfectly reasonable for you to want to be able to grab. We have 3 minutes to the imbalances, but let's go to Adara first.
Just be aware here, PFE and mRNA on watch, as well as any vaccine providers. Take a look at AstraZeneca as well. Wall Street Journal reporting that the Health and Human Services Department of the U.S., or the HHS, is going to stop recommending routine COVID shots for children and pregnant women. So, of course, these vaccine providers on this lack of recommendation actually falling to the downside again. This is just reported by Wall Street Journal. This has, I repeat, not been confirmed. Here is mRNA, again, PFE, AZ, and 2 other names to watch with this catalyst. Back to you.
This the other day, like, TELUS Business is calling me again. Like, I told them, anyways.
You told them to call you back, but did they call you back after when you?
No, but I mean, I even gave them time. Remember, I was like, "Oh, I'm on the air," and they just, anyways,
That's bad.
They don't care what the hell's on the air. Even mean to have these people, anyways.
I'm
not going to answer it. No, they don't know that I do this. They have no idea.
No, I'm saying, but if you say that in general, people know what you mean. This is a 52-week low test by Moderna, by the way, when you zoom it out. And I just wanted to answer a question. Someone asked me what's the difference between range, like a stock trading in a range, and a stock consolidating. Time frame, that's all. On the daily chart, SMCI is consolidating, at least for the time being, above its prior resistance. So like on a higher time frame, it's consolidating. But if you go to the 15-minute, you would say it's trading inside of a range. So it just has to do with time frame, and that's all. As far as Moderna is going, that stock is just falling, so it's not consolidating. It's just dropping. This kind of thing is a short till it's not. But that's a potential.
Flat bottom.
Yes, at 20. Okay, it might. When you're looking at the line on the chart, it might not be exactly $23. I'd have to go pull up what the 52-week low is. It looks to me like it's $23. That's certainly going to be in play tomorrow. Thank you, Adara, for the headline. They can't seem to get out of their own way. No questions asked. So yeah, I don't think I will be taking. I mean, AMD, even if it gets there, even if it gets back to the 115 to 115 quarter, there's only 1 minute till the imbalances. So that's going to be a no-go for me. It's a good thing we got it of SMCI. If all you can take is 20 pennies, and take it, because ultimately it's not giving you anything more than that. Still hanging around that $44 level. Ebb and flow portfolio, I don't think there's a single answer to what time frame would you use on a small account. Would you day trade it or swing trade it? Everyone has to find their own groove for trading. If you're under PDT, which is something we don't have to deal with, then I can understand why you gravitate towards swing trading. You have a limited amount of trades. But the time frame is part of developing a trading plan. Like, I like 3-minute, 15-minute daily chart, and I like to find levels on the higher time frame charts and execute on the 3-minute. But that's just what works for me, and I've gone through all different kinds of things. I've tried all kinds of different indicators as well until you settle on the things that work for you. So for me to sit there and tell you what time frame you should be looking at would be utter nonsense, because I'm not sitting here knowing how every single trading strategy is going to be optimized and what is going to work for somebody else. So you do have to experiment. That's why, look, we talk about eSignal, but that's another perfect reason why having a good platform allows you to backtest multiple strategies, find what execution strategies work for you, what levels end up being better for you, on which time frames help you find them, is all part of your trading journey. So that's the best answer I can give you. NVIDIA, $4 million to the buy side. Apple, $2.9 million buy. Amazon, $1.8 buy. AMD, $1.3 million buy. Intel, $1.2 million buy. Microsoft, a buy of $1 million. Google, a buy of $1 million. Palantir, a buy of $1 million. That's actually kind of big for Palantir. Although I'm reminded that it does way more volume these days, so maybe it's not. So that's all over $1 million. It's going to be a couple of billion on the overall market here. 3.4 billion, thank you, Adara, for the overall market. 2.5 billion for the Nasdaq to the buy side. The Dow is about $1 billion, and the Mag 7 alone, 1.3 billion. So all buy imbalances right there at the end. So they're not gigantic enough that they can't flip. But yeah, when the market's going to the downside, obviously profit taking comes in the other direction. I didn't look at Palantir once today. Wow, what a reversion Palantir was. Palantir does this, and I don't actually trade Palantir for this, but it's very good at doing trend reverses. Like, really.
Palantir is good at everything. But yeah, to your point, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. Look for whatever it is. I don't trend reverses and all that. You guys know what I look at. But yeah, Palantir, definitely a name that we haven't traded today, and I was wearing the hat there with Mr. Trader. All right, so we talked about how light we were in this trade, and that's because we don't have very many shares at all on Google. We actually just got some out right there just before this happened. I might as well just punch out. I have really no need to be in this anymore. So I'm just going to bid it out there and just continue on with the day on Google. So there we go. We're going to be out in just a couple of seconds. Netflix was a name that Raider Trader was calling, I guess, for a downside play there. So we'll see if that does happen. He's calling for that in the next little while. And again, just because it's been so well loved, we could see what happens with Netflix heading into the next couple weeks. See if it does give it up. There it is, man. Ends the trade. I know we had that huge trade on Palantir a little while ago that I was calling, potentially the number one P&L name, but I'm pretty sure that just on Google right there for me, that was probably the biggest trade that I've had in a very long time, P&L wise. Just one position there all the way in. And the good thing is that we were still in a lot of this. Even though I have all of these outs, it's just stupid. Like, I wish I could mark like where the bigger share size outs are. So I'm going to do a better job over the next little while talking about that. I'm always telling you if this is a good big position or not, the units and this and kind of stuff like that. So if you want me to keep doing that, I will. But I'm going to start doing it now on the outs to tell you, what's good on that. So because I do get a lot of questions about that. So, and I know even Sharif's today, he was in. AUYT or something like that. And he's like, I have more shares on this than I normally do, right? And so I think that's important, right? Because if you judge all of the trades with the same share size, you're screwed, right? Because like Neil said, he traded 15 names today, right? Not every position is he gonna have the same amount of shares on. So you gotta judge, again, you know, what's the best kind of strategy for you and what works out, right? I'm a Mag 7, big cap kind of roller, so I'm gonna try to do that. I do take probably the most shares in everything here, but that doesn't mean that they're the most profitable. Like here on Big Bear AI, boom, boom, downside. Neil's already talked about Foot Locker, things that, you know, he likes to do with his specialty and things like that. So everybody focuses where they need to focus. And I think at the end of the day, that's what matters. And then having a great time. We talked about that with Raider Trader. Why would you want to do something that you don't enjoy? And if trading has become frustrating, the best thing, Joe gave that advice, and I think we all agree with this too, is just like take a break, right? I go regardless every day, trying to go over to the gym during the middle of the day because quite frankly, like there's no other time. So I try to do that. It gets my mind away from this and then I don't have to listen to everything and I can just sort of regroup and come back all fresh like right now. So I think there's different strategies for different folks, right? And just find out what works best for you. But ASST, see there's another one, right? Like another name that you don't see us doing, but if it's your...
Well, it just broke the high.
That's why, okay, so you had it up. I just saw people in the chat like talking about it. And again, if that's your bread, then please butter it. But all right, let's go. I'm gonna actually head over to the desk quickly and come back. I just want to,
make sure
I haven't loaded anything.
Got a lock and load for that as well. But on that topic, and we'll add some more to that as well when it comes to trading, hey, everyone talks about this as traders, that if you want to grow, you got to risk more. That's how it used to be, according to our friends over at Trade the Pool, because they're going to change it. And they're going to do it by paying a one-time evaluation fee that starts at just $47. That's your total risk, and you get a real shot at trading up to $200,000 in company capital. You don't need a large deposit, and you don't need years of experience. This is a limited risk trading platform built for any trader who wants to grow without putting everything on the line. Just small skin in the game and you're trading with real capital. Scan the Trade the Pool QR code that you see right in front of you now and get 10% off to start your journey. Link should be in the description as well. So before I get to what I was going to say, 355 just hit. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you. Shout out to Tuesday Scalf. The best day you've ever had. Some people saying UNH was a good call. You just have to wait for the right moment. But I want to point out, NVIDIA paired off a little bit there, half, but Apple stayed at pretty much the same bit it was before. Amazon was $1 million before, it's still $1 million now. Intel was $1 million before, it's still $1 million now. So some of these paired off, but Apple did not. They're not big imbalances, but they're big enough that if you were in the trade, you might want to hold on a little bit longer. That's the only reason I wanted to point that one out. But I think the other thing you have to consider, and this is why when I was talking about the lesson of the day, when you're taking certain trades, like some things are apples to apples, and so like UNH, good, but then bad, and I hesitate to say bad because you know the outcome was bad on Dick's Sporting Goods, right? But if I'm trading multiple names and taking like a one shot at a mean reversion, right? Like I'm only trading it the one time. That's why I'll trade more symbols because it's a specific setup. When you have something bad, if this had been a losing trade, what matters to me is what you win on that setup versus what you risked on it, right? So at the end of the day, just make sure that you're not losing more than you can make back. If you're trying to be positive, that's what you want to be able to do. And I can tell you, over time, that's the thing that ends up mattering. There are very few strategies, and I'm not saying there aren't, but there are very, very few strategies that I've ever seen over in 20 years where your losing day can be 3-4x, right? And it would take a long time to explain how some of those work, but they usually involve like market making, trading things with tiny spreads, like that kind of a thing. But outside of that, if you're trading momentum, you need to make sure that, you know, if when a bad trade hits, you can make more on the other trade, which just means holding it a little bit more and having a reasonable stop level. So you're always playing apples to apples. It was a good momentum day today, obviously. Everybody, when you look at it, because there were so many, I guess, V-shaped recoveries, so many breakouts. Well, I'm going to go to Tesla for a quick little second because I didn't trade Tesla today, but it is worth noting it's going to close. It's going to close in the red, but it's going to close pretty bullish relative to everything else at 343. Unfortunately, we didn't get a shot at that 350 level, but you know what? We also didn't break down under support. So 350 on Tesla is still very much a thing. And we're not out of the woods just yet. Only 2 minutes to go here today, so obviously it's not going to be a 350 breakout, but the shorts are still not off the hook. We talked about this with SMCI. Tesla is, as far as I'm also concerned, is in a consolidation at the high. So it's a consolidation off the top until, I wouldn't even say 335. I think you almost have to break underneath 330, and then I'm convinced we're no longer in this consolidative top where you can go ahead and buy the dips in the morning as long as it's not destroying you at the levels. I think you got to be patient with those types of dip buys, and then we get a 350 break at some point. Just trading, Hood is rolling. I guess you could have just maybe bought Robinhood when the Coinbase news hit, but that's hindsight, right? Like when the Coinbase news hits, you go to Coinbase. You're not really thinking about Robinhood in the moment, but this is the candle when Coinbase's news hit. It dipped because the algos, some algos aren't very smart, and all that ends up happening is news hits the space. It's negative specifically to Coinbase, but they drop the bid on everything that's in the space out of risk because they don't know in the moment. It's like, well, it hit Coinbase, news hit Coinbase on the wire, and it's negative, so let's drop the bid just in case so we don't get locked up. When it's only Coinbase's story, it gets bid right back up, holds that low, and if you were looking at Robinhood instead, you would have found yourself a good long. I like Robinhood more than I like Coinbase. That's why I keep talking about it. I don't like where Robinhood is at. If I sell Coinbase, I feel as if I'm not getting into Robinhood right away. So I might back off on that for a couple of days just to see how things settle on Coin. Because that news story, while obviously not good, it's still something that started under the last administration, which means it's a bit of old news. But we do have the closing bell. Remember, everybody, as we go to Adara to ring the bell, get your questions in for Sean and Adara for the market recap. So after we ring it in 2 and 1, that all of our viewers have the opportunity to get their questions, whatever they might be, trading related, not trading related, hopefully trading related. But keep in mind, everybody, if you want to ask some questions, you probably need to be in the chat because it's a fantastic community, and that's the way we communicate around here in Trader TV Live. So hit that subscribe. It is a subs-only chat. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can get in there. Shout out to Bears versus Bulls, who keeps it together, and a fantastic moderator, keeping our community nice and tight, and making sure that everybody has a good time in here because that's what it's all about. We never want people to feel excluded from our great trading community. And the Nasdaq's going to end up closing in the green, but barely so. ES outperforming the Nasdaq here today. Oh, and the last thing I meant to check at the close, remember we had that story on Meta. Meta's going to close pretty much, adjacent to the lows, not exactly at the lows, but pretty close to the lows here from Meta, down 2.5%. That will get recapped for sure. I want to thank Fabian, Andre, and the ones and twos. I want to thank, of course, always Ramin. I can see she's already working on some more social media stuff. Big shout out to the Midday Boys. We got Joey Options and Sharif as well. And as always, you don't have to do anything. All you got to do is sit back and relax. Oh, we do have some earnings to get to. We're going to have AMAT. That's a biggie. Obviously, I've already said I like Lamb more than I like AMAT, but that's going to be a big one after the bell here today, guys, so do watch out for them. You've also got TTWO. I believe there's someone else, but Twilio's going to be out there as well. So there's some earnings to get to, but the more important thing is get your questions in for the Q&A for Sean and Adara, everybody. I want to also thank Raider Trader, Andrew Raider, for popping on through and giving you guys some fantastic ideas like he always does. But for now, sit back, relax. Your market recap starts now.
All right, thank you, Neil. Yeah, what a wild day today. Darren and I will be recapping all of it for you. We just went over some Coinbase stuff as well. What a massive move today in many names. This is the Dow Jones. I just wanted to see where that closed, up 0.65 right there today. MSOS holding for it as well. The Qs goes out not near the highs, but only 0.16. So that's green. So Like that one. Let's have a quick look at the SPY. How did we do today? You know, I'm going to go down to a little bit of a higher time frame here. Go to a 5-minute chart just to see. So it's the SPY and the Dow today leading us higher. So congratulations to everybody. I don't need this hat on. Congratulations to everybody today that was long off the jump, man. What a great move that was. We did have Dick's Sporting Goods and Foot Locker married today. Dick's down near the bottom of the day where we get that close. Maybe they don't like this purchase. It's $24 cash and or stock. There's something about that. There's Foot Locker right there, up 85% today. What a move that had. Thank you so much for joining. If you do have any questions or comments for Adair or myself, put them in the chat. We have it up right now. Thank you so much to David, who right now just hits it. I've got the chat open right there. 5 Trader TV Live gifted memberships. And again, that's going to get you these fun little emojis in front of it and behind your name, things like that. So thank you so much for all of that. It looks like they're claimed up there. Thank you, David, for doing that, and for everybody to continue to support the show. And all these funds, man, just going right back into not hopefully, but a bigger and better studio. We're going to have that talking more and more throughout the next couple months. Yeah. That should be a lot of fun. Gold, quite the reversal day today for GLD, starting to pick up on that side as well. Gold there, look at this move all day. Really does not stop. Gold's had a little bit of a rough ride over the last couple days, starting to get, come on GLD, starting to get back down to the downside from 310 back down in on the daily. Is that going to happen? Yeah, for us right there. I really like this level. So I'm thinking tonight we'll put some bids down here in and around $2.90. We'll see if we can get that bid going. $2.90, $2.91 for GLD. What a nice reversal. UNH actually today, Adara, and you know the stories, obviously, as we all do here. UNH today, Wall Street Journal reports that the DOJ is also investigating the stock for fraud. So, you know, we've had some missteps here. Earnings was this day. That was a problem. They cut guidance. They didn't even give guidance, UNH, and that's going to be a problem. That's always like, uh-oh, why can't we guide? But again, the healthcare system changing. We had HUM, isn't that what Humana was?
Humana,
yeah. So that was a name also that Raider talked about. Their earnings also breaking lower. So, you know, we have to watch out for all of this, man, because this sector keeps on ticking. XLV, I think, is the safest way to play it back here in the healthcare spider ETF. So that name continues to go. We had some fun stuff with Coinbase near the end of the day as well. Nice little red candle there. Remember, addition into the S&P 500 tomorrow, so that should be fun. First day trading, I guess, will be Monday in the S&P 500. So we'll see if that can hold. Right now, it's holding on by the skin of its teeth right there at 240.
We have earnings too.
We did have it. Yeah, okay, let's go. Which one did we just get? Did we
have, we should have AMAT right now.
Yeah, it looks like they're going down.
We should also have TTWO. Sorry about that, guys.
All right, no good. We'll get over those in just a couple minutes. There goes AMAT to the downside. So we talked about, again, still a semi-name, right? AMAT nicely moving down. Machinery and manufacturing of these chips. Again, so AMAT downside, not good right now, giving up a little bit of it. But again, when we look at the daily chart, AMAT was already at the 200 period. And oh boy, when I was asked about this, I said, watch out. We're at that 200 period moving average for AMAT off this nice move. Maybe the next move is down, but whether or not it continues and holds, I don't know. But there goes AMAT downside right now. What are the numbers?
I have AMAT and I have TTWO. I'll go TTWO first because I have it up right now. Apparently, net bookings up 17% year over year to 1.58 billion. I had issues with my computer. I can't find my notes here, but I'm seeing, I guess, net loss here 3.73 billion, revenue of 1.58 billion. Sean, that is pretty staggering. And then they guided losses here. Wait, no, this is what they reported. They reported losses of 21 cents per share. Sorry, $21.08 per share. So massive loss per share here by TTWO. They're guiding Q1 revenue between 1.35 and 1.4 billion, losses between 78 cents and 65 cents. So this is not, it's kind of mixed.
But the story about TTWO, Adara, is, of course, is that it is a video game maker and they have the biggest franchise around, but they keep delaying it.
Yes, they cannot get it.
And that's Grand Theft Auto. So right now, I don't know if someone's grand thefting their, their AI or whatever, but they can't get it done until May of 26. That's the rumor. That's not the rumor. That's what they posted out. So they can't guide anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying it's wild because the last I almost said TTWO. The last GTA came out when I was in middle school.
Right. It was 13 years ago.
I was 13. when the last one came out. And now I am an adult and we are here and we're still waiting on the next one. So
yeah, no, exactly. So that was 13 years ago. We talked about that. Take-Two Interactive, not having a great day, but who really cares about that? Because if you, I mean, we all do, especially if you have options, but look at the movement this has had, man. This is at, and I'm going to guess, all-time highs right now for Take-Two. So, yep. So if you think that, you know, this GTA is going to be something, you might just want to buy the dips, right? I mean, again, you see that $1 billion number, wait till they guide next year Q2 to 3 when they finally release GTA. Then you're going to see a number. I don't even know, man. Even my kid was asking me, he's like, Dad, like, you know, Take-Two can charge whatever they want for Grand Theft Auto. I'm like, what does that mean? You're just I'm gonna buy it for you then? I was like, no, we have to stop out there. But that's just how excited, especially the kids, like you mentioned there, are getting about that. And look, he's 13, man. He shouldn't be playing Grand Theft Auto, I feel like, anyways. But
I mean,
by the time
when I was 13 and it came out, people were playing it.
yeah, I saw some of the graphics on this. It does look pretty like, okay. All right, so let's go. Yeah, let's go find out what AMAT's doing. So AMAT, again, nice little downside push. We're gonna go over to a 1 minute chart just to see how dramatic it exactly is. Wow. All right, let's go to a 5 minute just to see where this is in relationship to today. So we give up where we started today at 172, back down into 169. The move doesn't seem that dramatic to me, but let's go ask Adara, what were those numbers like?
Yeah, so here are the numbers. Revenue up 7% year over year, 7.1 billion versus estimates of 7.12 billion. They just missed. Adjusted earnings, 2.39, so $2.39 per share versus estimates of $2.31 per share. It's a beat. It's up 14% year over year. Their adjusted gross margin is just slightly larger here, so 49.2% versus 47.5% last year. They're guiding revenue here between 6.7 billion to 7.7 billion. The midpoint here is 7.2 billion. So that is basically in line with estimates. Adjusted EPS guide also in line with estimates. Adjusted gross margin, they're seeing it basically the same. Yeah, the supplied materials here, guidance a little bit mixed, miss on revenue, beat on EPS. Kava, I do not have, guys. If I have Kava, I will let you know promptly. I do not have Kava, but they're not expecting them until like a couple seconds anyway.
Yeah, Kava's an interesting one because it's kind of stuck in the middle right here of $100. So we'll see in between the 200 period and the 50 period moving average, of course, is Kava. So we talked about some of the deal news today with Foot Locker and Dick's Sporting Goods, right? WBA, Walgreens is another name that is being bought out as well. So you'll see this is what we expect now from Foot Locker, just very, very slow pace up to that buyout price, which is $24. They're going to get, you know, looked at and identified by the regulators, and they'll figure out if they're going to accept this buyout, which they probably will. I don't see why a sporting goods store can't buy a shoe or a shoe store. So there it is, man. Foot Locker. I believe that deal gets done. Nicely congratulated to everybody there in Foot Locker. It's a nice move higher right there. So AMAT, Take-Two, and Kava is what we're looking for. All right, but the day was not one to be forgotten for NVIDIA. Nice move, holding these highs. Feels like we're getting back to all-time highs at some point with NVIDIA. If we're going to look over at a 5 minute chart again, had its highs there at 136. Very similar to what.
Now.
Very similar. Okay, we'll look at Kava in a minute. Very similar to what we got to yesterday in the after hours, 136. So let's have a look at that later on tomorrow. If we do break and hold above 136, I think that's sort of the jumping spot right there. Lows, we could get a little bit lower. Remember, any kind of news. Trump is he still in Saudi Arabia?
He said he was leaving, but he doesn't know where he's going. So I don't know what that means, but he said maybe DC, destination unknown. So
well, that's always positive.
That's not the Middle East. Sometime soon. Does he know? No, that doesn't sound like it.
I like how he was saying that yesterday. He was talking about how his planes aren't as, you know, good as the Saudi or the Qatar planes there, and he wanted to improve, I think, Air Force One. So
yeah,
we'll see.
But
we'll
it's
see.
also a Boeing, so
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like the same planes.
All right, there goes Kava, man. A nice move to the downside here for Kava. So we continue to push a little bit here. $94 is that bottom right here for CAVA. Looking at the daily chart, we said there could be a little bit of trouble, but again, we don't have it here, but I think the space is okay. We've seen McDonald's. We'll wait to see their numbers. Look at McDonald's today, nicely done. I mean, almost near the days or the all-time highs for MCD as well. But Kava, a relatively new entrant into this world, we could see if it has like like a CMG flavor to it, whereby if you look over here on the monthly for CMG, it took a while for it to finally get going. It actually retested back, back into some of these lows. Like that's $5. Obviously, it's split adjusted, but there it is all the way up to 60 and back in right now. Look at what Kava's doing here. Again, I don't know if they're equal or not, but Kava basing out there, $41 for their IPO, as high as 150, now back into 95. So let's go over some of those numbers. There's Kava on the daily, $95. If we break this down into a minute chart, you'll see a nice push down in here for Kava. There it goes, down into $94. So it seems like it's not that bad, dropping from 100 down into 95. Remember, we're looking for a good guide, Adara. So we are going to go over some Q&A. If there is anything, Bears vs. Bulls has messaged me a little bit. Adara has a bunch as well, but you have a bunch of news.
Yeah, I mean, just like 13 apps are coming out
here,
right?
Okay, good. Let's see what they're doing.
Pershing Square got out of Nike. They added Uber. We knew they added Uber. They cut their Alphabet by 16%, and then they boosted something. So they cut their Alphabet C shares by 16%, and they boosted their A shares by 11%. Shout out to Bill Ackman for making that more complicated than it needed to be. But shout out to his tweets, which do the same thing. But Starboard here slashing its Pfizer stake by 50%. So Starboard selling half its Pfizer. They increased their Autodesk by almost 100%, Sean. They increased their Autodesk by a cool 93%. And ADSK does not care, to put it lightly. So Berkshire dissolved its stake in NU. It also dissolved its stake in C. And then what else you got? I mean, Berkshire added to a lot of his stuff. People want to know as well about SPCE, so I'm going to go over those. Jam Losi asking about SPE. So we have Space, that would be Virgin Galactic. Q2, smaller than expected loss per share. So they beat on both metrics here. $2.38 loss per share versus a $2.55 loss expected. So they beat. Sales, 461,000 versus 285,700 expected. I have Kava as well. There's another one people are asking about. I think I put it in the chat, but yeah, there's quite a few out right now. Here is Kava, C-A-V-A. Guys, remind me which ones you're looking for while I'm here looking, because it's easier for me to remember when it's like right in front of me and we're talking about it. So adjusted earnings of 22 cents per share above estimates of 14 cents per share.
Nice.
That's a healthy beat. Yeah. Sales, 331.83 million versus estimates of 326.88 million. We do not have it here, but I went to New York with my friends, I guess last year, and my one friend really wanted to go to Kava because we were there. And my other friend was like, we're not in New York for you to eat Kava. So I've never been to Kava. But shout out to C-A-V-A. People keep sending us questions, keep sending us earnings tickers. There was another one someone was asking about that I don't remember, and I might have put it in the chat. And Cooler people were asking about. It's not out yet. I checked. Playboy Group apparently out. I'll go over TTWO again because it's been a while. Sorry for the rapid fire, but these markets move quickly, and so we have to move just as quickly. Yeah, so their adjusted earnings. So I mentioned losses. Their adjusted earnings, they still missed though. $1.08 per share versus $1.10 expected. Sales, $1.58 billion versus estimates of $1.55 billion. Now my rant is over. Sorry about that, Sean. Back to you.
Yeah, that's okay. It's not much of a rant, though. Those are good information. I do want to ask Neil about his SPCE because I remember that he was involved in this because he was like, I'm going to buy the stock because he wants to go into space. Well, the only thing that you did was went into basically the depths of hell if you had held this stock. Again, almost going the opposite way of space right now. This is what happens when an IPO don't go right. Don't go right. Yeah, that's proper English, maybe. There it is. Like, it never even got going. Like, space, this is, I mean, I don't know, unless I'm just on the wrong sort of, no, so that is right. So, space there, IPOs at, again, this is going to be, I guess, adjusted. This is probably reverse split a couple times. $200. It makes that move up to $1,000 before falling all the way back in. And remember, these are all adjusted. But there it goes. Again, a great IPO. And that's why I said I want to ask Neil about this. Where exactly did we get in or get out of this? Because it never traded at $1,000. These are all corrected due to adjusted and splits. So as we look at space right here, whether or not it's a final frontier or not, it might be a decent long if this name could ever get going. And there it is right here with earnings today. SPCE with a nice move up here on the 1 minute chart from $3.40 up to $4. Let's give it 15%. Probably something that we'll look at tomorrow morning as, again, this could be one of those names. What is the short float on this, you may ask, or at least I'm asking? Check 32%. So right there, Space and Virgin Galactic. I saw a lot of people in the chat say they forgot this stock even existed. Yeah, me too. We haven't talked about this in a while. So Space, nice upside tick right there, right now, getting higher. We heard about Uber. We heard about ADSK, by the way. Again, another automation play. Starting to tick a little bit up on some of that news there. But again, 13F filings don't really mean too much other than what's already happened. So those buys have already taken place. So it's interesting to see for, where some of these funds are committed their capital to. IBM, I think, this is a name that I bought, again, like way back when. I really like this name. I think it was one of Neil's picks. It's a great pick. I mean, we really like IBM now taking out the highs and going higher right now. Again, a big AI play. We remember Watson with Jeopardy. That was probably 25 years ago or so. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I should chat GPT that, but this continues to work. Look at them on earnings day, right? So they had earnings, they dropped right into the 200 period moving average. This is all after tariffs, right? So there's the drop down into the 200 on tariffs. There's the drop down into the 200 on earnings. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyways, you get the idea. 20 or so days after, nice upside play, and now taking out the highs. So, hey man, this is a breakout long. If Michael Noss was on here, Neil always says, I'm not a chartered market technician, you don't have to be. This looks like a nice breakout right there, heading back higher to that upside. Plus you get the sloping 50 period moving average, and you get the 200, obviously, as you take highs, starting to go upside as well. So IBM, have that on watch. If you're looking for calls or option plays, I think IBM does have some juice to it. Look for a higher highs now on this name, especially as we continue to talk AI and the market rebounds. I mean, you're at all-time highs now of IBM. What about when the Nasdaq and some of these other names continue to get to their all-time highs? I think IBM does have a lot of room to run. Okay, we said that we would talk about some Q&As.
Apparently too.
Before
we get to Q&A, let's go to QUBT. I didn't realize they reported, sorry about that, guys. They reported adjusted earnings of 11 cents per share versus the estimate of a 7-cent loss. So unexpected profit is always good. These sales, though, Sean, they're not great. Some nuclear leaks.
Not even making money, are they?
$39,000 versus estimates of $100,000. That means they missed by so much. They only made
$39,000 of sales?
Yeah, $39,000 versus $100,000 expected, Sean. They made like 40%, not even of what we were looking for. That's not great. And then people also want Cooler. Cooler, I was expecting at when was this? That was supposed to be 4:30. Oh, it's actually out though. Let me see. Revenue up 40% to 2.45 million. I don't have anything compared to estimates, but I'll just read you guys the numbers I'm seeing. And then product sales up 88.7%. Doesn't look like a bad report, but I'm not seeing the estimate. Oh, their gross margin really contracted 8% this year compared to 29% on a year-over-year basis. So
I don't even know that company.
Really rough gross margin.
What
Someone
are
asking
they?
about Sobo as well, SOBO, Southbow. I do not have Southbow. So guys, keep asking me. I'll try my very best. But now I think, are we ready for Q&A? Sorry for the
I never even heard of
there.
Cooler. Carbon fiber name there. I don't know anything.
It's a small cap. Sometimes it moves.
Yeah, QUBT, interesting name there. Let's see if there's any movement there. I don't even know if what the deal is with quantum. QBTS, we know that's a quantum name, and that's not moving too much on any of that either. So, all right, it's Trader Talk. Adair and I. All right, we got a couple questions here today from Bears vs. Bulls that I found out right now. All right, so I'll just answer some of them. I just realized I'm not even logged into the chat. I got to refresh the chat to get logged in. So I'm going to refresh the channel and then get there, and then I'll try to. I know it is a big fail because I came up here and prepared, but I forgot to actually log in. So now it still says subscribers only mode, so I don't know what's going on. But all right, I'll just talk about the questions, and then you guys can hear them, and you'll figure it out. So someone gets an answer, gets a question here, sends it to Bears vs. Bulls and in the chat, and it goes. So again, put your questions in the chat if you do have any right here. Whoopsie, what happened? Right here, right now. I hate that shake. I got to disable that. Maybe that should be a question. How do you disable the shake option? I think it's pretty easy though. All right, do we have options right now? And they would love to see us trade options. We do have Joe that talks options all the time, as that's kind of what he's been brought on. I mean, he's a great trader for us here as well, just getting his sort of feet wet on the prop floor. I think he's probably been here maybe a year, maybe a little bit less than that.
Just around.
But his experience is more on the option side of things. But no, we do not have options attached to the accounts that we trade here. Real Trading does not offer those options. If and when they do, then yeah, we will trade them, and we'll be able to talk about that. And I think you know, you can look at our trades here as 0-day options because we do have to be flat at the end of every day. So scalping in and out of stock would be similar to that. Obviously, if you're trading options though, you're only gonna have so many contracts that you're gonna be able to float around there. So yeah, but 0-day options, we are out. And Adara was even asking me there, she realized that she had a couple shares left in Coinbase, and it was after 4 o'clock. And I said, don't panic, we can punch out. But generally speaking, 4:15. So if you guys are asking about how we trade around here, 4:15, we have to be pretty much flat out of all of our positions. So thank you again. That was K-Pow with those questions as well. So yeah, I would just say 0-day is more similar to how we trade. And I think Joe puts on, he talks about his trades, I think pretty much weeklies. So I think that that's what he's using, Friday expirations, things like that for Joe. But that would be a great question for tomorrow. So I do want to say thank you for that as well. So that was K-Pow. All right, so there it is. Another one from Local Yokel there asking about options. No, we don't have those yet. All right, here's a good question. And I can answer this. KK14 says, why doesn't Adara trade live anymore? And so the thing is that, I mean, you do.
Yeah, I still trade real money. I just do not trade on the midday desk. I trade here in the news desk in between news stories, which if that sounds chaotic, I mean, maybe I chose it. And I think too, I've said, I think I'm able to give the news more accurately and I guess more efficiently, more quickly when I have my screens up when I'm trading because you're more invested, right? You know what's happening. You're more aware of it. You're more on the pulse. Because I can have all my news screens up and that's fine and that's good. But if you're not paying attention to what the market's doing, if you're not interested in it, then I do not think, at least in my experience, I feel like I'm not as able to be on the ball with it, and I'm not as quick to notice it. So that is, I still do trade live with real money. I just trade from up here, and sometimes I show my trades on the show. Sometimes I'll drop them in the chat. Sharif will be like, call me out and I'll drop a trade. But yeah, that's the extent I do still trade live, and I'm very grateful to be here every day.
Yeah, I think if there's a lot of interest in that, then we can sort of throw to Adara a little bit more often and see what her positions are and how that goes. So yeah, thanks for asking. And again, and I think it was been a great decision to keep Adara, keep you, obviously that's a great decision, but keep you on this news desk because of what's been happening in the market. We never know, and it's great to have Adara. It's sort of what you do, I feel like best, is make sure that everything has been legitimized and things like that. So thanks for always looking up and having our back when we have questions about news. Okay, there it is, man. Joe helps a lot with lunchtime, so that's great. So that's another reason there. Joe is fantastic. Joe and Sharif, a great combination, especially if you're into the gym. Okay, so that was good. What are we looking at for long generational holds and why? So that's a great question there from Local Yokel again, coming into play. So for me, I mean, I really think if you're talking about generational holds, yeah, I hate to say the same things over and over again, but I do think that especially if you're starting an account right now and you're a little bit of a younger age, you should be starting to buy indexes. I think it's very important that you put a little bit of money into the S&P 500, maybe even the Nasdaq, just to start with, but then right, and then if you're looking for generational holds, like when you're talking about generation, you're looking for decade-long plays. I still think you want to buy the top companies basically sector-wide, and that's what some of these indexes will give you, right? Like buy the best name in healthcare, buy the best name in quantum, which might be Google, maybe it's Rigetti, right? There are going to be plays that you're going to look back, and I look at a play like a Palantir, and we can come over here, and I bought this on when it first came public, right there. It was a direct list, and this wasn't even here. It was even earlier than this, but it came out at $9, right? And right now it's 128. That's no splits, nothing like that. So right there, you're getting a 10+ bagger just holding this for 3-4 years. I mean, let me find out when this exactly came through. And this is it's not like a humble brag or anything like that, because it did come back in here in February of 23. So again, go through the ebbs and flows, but again, an AI name that has that next move. So right now, what I'm thinking about is what's the next play. I do like what Raider Trader was talking about with robotics. So I think it's ARKB. Is that no, that's the Bitcoin one. ARKQ. Yeah, that's the robotics ETF right here. So what I would do, again, look at this, nice move up on this as well, right? So robotics has been a thing for a minute, but if you thought about this back in 19, well then right now it's a $32 name, back up to $80 now. So there's plays like that that you can look at, and you could dig a little bit deeper and find out which name is the largest holding in this robotics ETF and maybe start digging around from there. But I also do like healthcare. I mean, I think healthcare, Adara, although UNH has been getting smoked, I'm not sure that's the right name. Yeah. But, you know, buying ETFs in spaces that you believe in should work out in the long term as long as that generational trend continues. I actually still like Meta down here.
Yeah.
Any names that would get you going? I mean, you're obviously a lot younger than I.
Right now, like going forward? Or?
Yeah, like if you were to put in $5 grand into a company right now that you can hold for 20 years, is there a name that maybe I haven't discussed or something that you're thinking about?
You know, honestly, I'm trying to think through my 3 picks for the Jimmy Carter day. They were Lilly, UNH, and Boeing. So 2 of those, right. I'm going to say right now, not at these levels. Eli Lilly, I like, but the weekly, as I mentioned yesterday on the show, there are some lower highs. Yeah. So honestly, I would like to do some more review, but Boeing, I do not dislike here. We talked about that 200 breakout. It's doing nicely. If it continues to fly and not have any corporate dramas, if Kelly can, you know, keep riding the ship or riding the plane, as it were, then I think Boeing I'm cool with.
All
but
right.
that's my take. Again, if I did more research, I might have a different answer, but right now I'm cool with it.
Actually, just looking at Eli Lilly here, because there is some talk there on the chat, I actually think this is a great opportunity to step in and buy. I mean, I've already bought it off this level. I do think when you're talking about game changers, you know, Novo Nordisk does not have the goods, Eli Lilly does. And right now, that could be a play for sure. And then you want to look at drug pipelines, right? Like what's in store for Merck, because Merck is down here as well. So they're not as well, but differently than Eli Lilly. So this could be a good buy. Look at the weekly here on Merck. You go back all the way to September of 21. You know, so down 4 years from now, Merck down near these lows. Wow, we're getting on time. Man, I talk way too much. Okay, Cristobal says, hey, yo, what will Studio 8 look like and will we have more hosts? All right, kind of a fun question there. We haven't exactly decided what the format will be for sure, but the important thing is it's basically gonna have all 4 of us on at the same time. So it's gonna have Joe, Sharif, myself, Neil, maybe we'll include Obi. Adara's going to be obviously a key part on the news desk, but we'll be closer together and more conversational. Yeah. So that's the idea behind Studio 8, where Joe can be talking about something, I can hop right on with him, Sharif, so on and so forth, taking breaks for whatever we want to do. But it's going to be more conversational, more of a roundtable type discussion. I love how Sharif goes over news in the middle of the day as well, like top stories. So while I'm hitting the bangs or whatever, and we're actively trading, we can slow it down a little bit with some story time and things like that about current news. So we're getting that all figured out, and I want to say be patient. It will be the biggest and the best trading show on YouTube in the world, period. So get ready for some really cool looks like that. We are very, very excited with that as well. All right, was there any questions that maybe you had seen? Because I'm just going through some of the Bears versus Bulls one. They're all very, very similar. So
yeah, there is a super chat here. Okay. I don't really know how to answer this one. I think this person might have asked the same thing in the midday, if I remember this correctly, but thank you to Alfredo Perez for the $5 super chat. Best way to get over a heartbreak. One day she loves you and the next she's over me and ready to move on. Would love your advice, Sean and Adara. Crying emoji and a different crying emoji. First, I'm very sorry to hear about your breakup. Second, Joe's advice is go to the gym. So my advice is going to be, do things that make you happy.
I feel like this dude's a little deeper than the gym right now.
Yeah, I was thinking too.
You know.
That's what I said at the time. But yeah, I think honestly, just give yourself time, talk to people you care about, and stay positive.
First of all, my guy, how old are you, Alfredo Perez, right now? And I only say that because there's many fish in the ocean.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, at certain points, it will feel like, oh my God, I'm never gonna find a significant other that I feel, you know, the same kind of way about. You will, all right? There's a lot out there, and just honestly, just keep your head up, man. Get over it as fast as you can, but take your time, like whatever it takes for you. There's not a certain amount of time that you have to worry about. I mean, makeups to breakups, right? Go listen to that Method Man song right there, makeups to breakups, and you'll get over it real quick. I may play that on the way home. I've been lucky enough to be married to my wife since 2011, nice. And been with her for 5 years before that. So definitely, you know, our love burns bright every single day. So I'm lucky enough to be able to find that. But I just think that, you know what? if she's that hard to get over or he is that hard to get over, that means you probably picked a good one to begin with, right? And I think that, you know, if it means that much to you, you will find somebody else. So protect your neck. I just saw someone there in the chat. But yeah, shout out to Wu-Tang Clan and everybody. Oh, all right, I got something for you after. All right, do we want to become the 51st state?
I'm going to politely decline. I'm going to maybe say the same thing Carney said, where, you know, some buildings and some countries are just not for sale. I've been joking for years, though, that the province I'm from, Manitoba, is already a state. So I feel like I'm already part of the states. But I don't want to become a state.
A lot of viewers wouldn't know this, but I feel like Alberta and BC and some of these more Western provinces are going to try to leave Canada anyways, coming up very, very soon.
That's true.
They're not too happy with all the power that Ontario has, which is where we are here in Toronto. So we got to be careful with that. Ontario is the capital. Ottawa is located here as well. A lot of the money that's made out west is transferred over to some of the poorer parts of the country with provincial transfers. We actually talked about that with O'Leary a little bit as well. So that's starting to affect some provinces here in Canada. Okay, man, we got to wrap it up. We got to get out of here. We're going to do more of this, right? I mean, Adair and I are on here every other day.
Thank you guys for your questions.
We'll be doing that. But yeah, good one there. All right, thank you so much for watching. Bears vs. Bulls, thank you so much as well. I got to go pick up a hitting net. I actually found it on Marketplace.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, my daughter's new bat came in. So while my kid's at chess tonight, we're gonna go find a park for an hour and she's gonna hit. I'm gonna throw to her, so we'll see if my arm lasts it all. But we always do this. So we tease this a little bit here. This is Wu-Tang. Who's your favorite member?
Oh, I gotta go ODB.
ODB, okay.
I like Method
Rest
Man,
in
but I'm
peace.
gonna go ODB. R.I.P. ODB.
Yeah, ask me.
Okay, who would you go with of Wu-Tang?
Raekwon.
That's a really.
I love
really good-
Raekwon.
I feel like there's no wrong answer to that.
No,
question.
there isn't really. You God kills it on some of those tracks as well. But shout out to Wu-Tang Financial.
I saw Method Man live once at TIFF. Not rapping, but weirdly he was at TIFF in a movie, and I was like, he and Yachty were both there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I did not expect either of you to be here. But yeah, shout out to.
So about 25 years ago at the Docks, which is downtown, I saw Method Man and Redman perform.
No.
Basically in their prime. And then 3 years ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago, when Wu-Tang came back.
Yes.
I went to see Wu-Tang there as well. But I think some of them couldn't cross the border.
That makes
sense. I didn't see them all there right now. Jizza and Rizza, people in the chat as well. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining. That's Adair. I'm Sean. Thank you so much to Fabian, and thank you to Bears vs. Bulls and everybody that joined us. Tomorrow's another day. It's 8:30, and it's Friday. So join us then. We'll be on the recap show again. I think it's Neil tomorrow, but join us all live at 8:30 with our whole teams around. Thanks so much for joining us again. Go enjoy your Thursday night. You know.
Do.
And hey, if you recently had a breakup, just have a makeup and you'll be fine. We'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.
See you guys. Bye.
You found the best trading show on the planet. So what are you going to do now?
Oh,
Simple. Hit the like, subscribe, and share it. It's Trader TV Live. We're here, baby.